Before you forward a message, verify it. Before you publish an allegation, establish the facts. Before you attack someone online, remember that there is a human being behind that screen. Before you share inflammatory content, ask yourself one question: will this build Nigeria or burn Nigeria? Our message should therefore be simple. Think before you click. Verify before you share. Pause before you post. Some 3 or 4 days ago, I celebrated, yes, I had my 30 years marriage with my wife. But the fact is, there was a video that went round. You won't believe the video was 2 years old. Yes. But somebody brought out the video and wrote the Inspector General of Police celebrating 30th wedding anniversary with his wife. That video was 2 years old. It's not a new video. So let us be mindful of the kind of information we push out. My young Nigerians, never underestimate the power of your voice. Your voice matters in your community. Your voice matters in your school and workplace. Your voice matters online. Your voice matters in democratic process, but influence comes with responsibility. So my charge to Nigerian youth, as you leave this dialogue and return to your communities, I challenge you to remember, do not allow yourself to be recruited for violence. Do not carry weapons for another person's assignment. Do not become an instrument of misinformation, hate, or digital intimidation. Participate actively, peacefully, and lawfully in our democracy. Protect your future, because your future is not yours only. Your future is Nigerians' future. Your future is greater than today. Protect it, build it, own it, and use it to build a safer, more peaceful and prosperous Nigeria.
And beyond politics, there is the family.
As mothers, we want to see you come on safely. We don't want to miss any of you. We want to see you build businesses, finish school, create technologies, make music, tell stories, solve problems, and sit at tables where decisions are made about Nigeria. My great young people, Nigeria does not need a generation that waits for permission to make a difference. We need a generation that is brave enough to lead and wise enough to live responsibly. We all want security. We all want opportunities. We all want dignity. We all want a Nigeria where our children can dream and actually realize those dreams. So for one mother to the young people of Nigeria, I leave you with this: protect your future, protect your peace, protect your country. Be the generation that chooses purpose over pressure, service over selfishness, truth over misinformation, and leadership over covering. And when anyone asks you to choose between violence and your future, remember your future is greater than political covering. You have something far more powerful: your voices, your ideas, your skills, and your votes. And yes, I want you to be politically conscious. I want you to ask questions. I want you to participate in democracy. But do it peacefully. You can disagree without becoming enemies. You can be passionate without becoming violent. You can support a candidate without losing yourself.
The initiative also produced young ambassadors and the Abuja Youth Declaration on Peace, Responsible Citizenship, and Democratic Participation.
We may come from different backgrounds, regions, institutions, cultures, and walk of lives. But beneath these differences lies a common aspiration: the desire for a peaceful, prosperous, secure, and inclusive society where every young person has the opportunity to fulfill their potential. As students and young Nigerians, we are not merely leaders of tomorrow, we are stakeholders and contributors to the Nigeria of today. Our ideas, energy, creativity, and courage must be channeled towards building a nation that works for everyone.
And this is one of the greatest events I've ever seen, which encourages youth to associate with the police officers, and it's diminished our criticism relating to the police, because before we don't even get closer to the police, but now it makes us even more free, as the saying that says a police officer is your friend.
I'm very happy and glad to be here for the International Youth Day 2026. The police hosted by the IGPs, the Federal Police, and everything went well, all right, and we enjoyed this very well. May God bless Nigerian police, and may God continue to guide the country.
This is a very good one. Yeah, this is something that we want to see. For the very first time, at least, we are seeing the police synergizing with the members of the community, of the society, to let them know that there is no discrepancy, discrimination, or segregation amongst the police and, of course, the people. We are all one, and this is a way of bringing everybody together. This is a way of encouraging the youth to become productive, to make sure they contribute their own quota to ensuring that we have a safer society, a better society, and a society where unity thrives. Thank you very much to the Nigerian police for this. We wish to see more of this.
The 3-day engagement was not all speeches and serious conversations. There was a walkathon, a friendly frisbee game, and a football match, all built around the message of youth participation, peace, and teamwork. On the closing day, IGP Disu also stepped away from the formalities to connect with young people showcasing their talents. Among them was Inspector David Abdullahi, popularly known as Superstar Lastborn, an Afro-gyration artist and police mobile force instructor.
Over the past 3 days, we have listened to young Nigerians examine our security realities and explore the role of youth, the role youth must play in shaping Nigeria that we all desire. Through our panel sessions, the walkathon, the tree planting exercise, and the many other activities, we have demonstrated that youth engagement must go beyond speeches. It must create understanding, responsibility, and action. This is the essence of our theme: different contents, common aspirations. We may come from different parts of Nigeria, speak different languages, and hold different opinions, but our aspirations are the same. We want peace, we want security, we want opportunities and dignity. We want to live in a Nigeria where our dreams are not destroyed by violence. From conversation to commitment, this initiative must not end when the chairs are cleared from this room. That is why I am encouraged by what we have launched. The Nigerian Police Force National Campaign, My Future is Greater Than Political and Digital Token. As we move toward the 2027 general elections, we must ensure that Nigerian youth are never used as instruments of violence. Do not allow anyone to use your daily bread, your life, and do not allow them to destroy your tomorrow. Do not allow anyone to use your today to destroy your tomorrow. Recognizing the power of positive youth leadership. Our conversation about young people must not always begin with what is wrong with them. That is why the youth honor and award introduced during this initiative matter. To our awardees, congratulations. Remember that recognition is a responsibility. Continue to lead, innovate, and serve, and use your success to open doors for others. We have also formally recognized our youth ambassadors and Nwaha and Olubinga Agbola, who will serve as a bridge between the Nigerian police force and the Nigerian youths. So our ambassadors listen to young people, understand their realities, and help us build a relationship which the police has seen not as an institution that responds when something goes wrong, but as a partner in prevention and protection. This partnership works both ways. The police must listen to the youths, and the youth must work with the police. Security is not the responsibility of the police alone. It is a shared responsibility. All of us are policing together. All of us are police together. Perhaps the most important outcome of this 3-day is the Abuja Youth Declaration on Peace, Responsible Citizenship, and Democratic Participation. This declaration must not become another document signed today and forgotten tomorrow. It must become a living commitment to choose peace over violence, to dialogue over conflict, truth over misinformation, and nation building over destruction. I challenge every young person here, hold this declaration, take it to your schools, your communities, your organizations, and your digital spaces, and live by it. This conference has not given you all the answers. It has not. And we will not prevent that we have profound answers to all our problems.
Ahead of the 2027 general election, the message is clear. No political ambition is worth a young life or a future. The conversation has begun. The responsibility belongs to us all. Remember to keep it real and say no to drugs. I'm your regular host, Ada Isong. See you next week.
The much talked about off-season governorship election in Osun State has come and gone. The people of Osun, which is Christian, as the state of the living springs, have spoken, and just of the numerous springs that crisscross the state leave, Osun people have overcome the doomsday predictions and are living again. For Ademola Adeleke, its travails leading to the election are over, and hopefully, with him already receiving presidential congratulations, this will endure. But beyond the celebration and disappointments, the result has opened a new chapter in Nigeria's political calculations ahead of the 2027 general election. For Adeleke and his supporters, the victory is a strong endorsement of the administration and a demonstration that incumbency, grassroots mobilization, and political personality remain powerful factors in Nigerian elections. For the APC, the defeat raises first questions about its strategy, candidate selection, mobilization, and its ability to reassert itself in the Southwest, the home base of its presidential candidates in the 2027 general election. The performance of the ADC and the wider opposition realignment is another major issue. Will the imagined coalition succeed in converting national momentum into electoral strength in Osun? Or does this result suggest that opposition parties still have work to do in building a formidable grassroots structure capable of challenging the ruling party in 2027? Turnout tells an important story. In 2022, about 42.4% of registered voters participated in the governorship election that brought in a delegate for its first tenure. But in 2023 presidential election, less than a year after, turnout fell to approximately 38.8%. Last Saturday, 1,05,800 votes were cast from 2,339,233 registered voters, representing about 40% turnout. Participation, therefore, improved slightly over 2022 and significantly compared to 2023, where more than half of registered voters still stayed away. The final results shows a stronger delegate performance than in 2022. He scored 511,067 votes, compared with 403,371 in 2022, an increase of more than 107,000 votes. Oyebamiji polled 444,815, while ADC Najim Salam scored 17,180 votes. The delegates' winning margin was 66,252 votes, more than twice its 2022 margin of 28,344. But major candidates increased their vote totals, making this a competitive election rather than an easy incumbent victory. Then come the matters arising from the election itself: turnout, vote buying, security, logistics, beavers, the role of INEC, the conduct of political parties, and the credibility of the coalition process. These issues will shape not only the post-election debate in Osun, in next general election. Osun has therefore become more than a state.
Sorry about the glitch there. The program is Jigsaw. Let's kickstart the discussions. At least we got some things from the prologue there. My name is Benga Arileba, here live this afternoon. My guest is equally here with me in the studio. My pleasure to welcome Comrade Ezewa Wago. Comrade Ezewa Wago is Executive Director, Peering Advocacy
and Advancement Center.
Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center
In Africa,
okay.
Paka.
Advancement Center
In Africa.
in Africa.
Paka.
Okay. Paka is also a member of the Civil Society Situation, right?
Yes.
And he was live in Osun. Welcome back to
I'm a
Abuja.
member of the board of Yaga Africa. Board of
Yaga. Okay. So in at least 3 different capacities now, you were fully in Osun.
Because I was more in 2 than
The other one.
ones. Yes.
All right. Welcome back to Abuja.
Thank you.
All right. From the, I know you because as an election observer or monitor.
Observer.
Election observer of several years, and I know that there are certain things your very trained eyes watch out for in every election, probably different from others.
Absolutely.
So from your eyes, your lenses, let's hear your review of what took place in Osun State at the weekend.
Okay, I think the preliminary reports of the
different
other groups are already out there, so it bears not going to repeat.
That's why I said from your, I think you watch out for certain.
So what I took away from the elections on the 15th was hard work
On the part of
the incumbent.
Okay.
The deception, the facade of one who looks unserious, you know.
Always battle at the side of
music is make believe. It distracts from the investment in that a lot of people who are, you know, sometimes opposition political do not take the time to make that level of investment. And if you study the pattern, you'll see that the investment started with the CVR, the continuous voter registration. By the time it ended for them in Osun in February, Osun was only second to Borno.
In terms of additional prospective voters that were harvested to the voter register.
So that investment shows people who were prepared. And both of us have had, both in your other programs, we've discussed about the value of party agency. A lot of people are making investment in party agents, not just agents, conscious, dedicated, committed party agents.
That's the whole party agents.
Who understood mandate protection. I traveled a bit, and my interest was, I wanted to see, you know, how conscious these party agents were. And I was testing out, you know, in conversations and the rest of them. So many times I've continued to say that our politicians do not put the hard work. 31 governors against one man, and he came out triumphant. He thought his dancing that gave him that.
Like said that one man had a David on his side.
Yes, no, but what I'm saying is that you imagine that dancing could have made that possible. But more importantly, one unstated hero of this election, and whose democratic credentials, unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, is the president. Because with that 31, if the might came the way it should, what perhaps will be happening is the reverse of if that election was stolen and there's a protest and we are quelling it and we are doing crisis management.
Probably we should be quelling it and see the crisis management, but the winner would have been declared.
Yes, but the name of the one who, if they didn't say it was the guys in Osun that this is the president. So if he allowed, and it's statistically also proven that it's not just in this election. You know, people say this is the second election under this new electoral act, but it's not true. It's 7 elections.
Yeah.
2 government elections and by-elections. Those by-elections, opposition picked. Opposition won elections in them. And that is a testament to somebody who is not just interested in, you know, against the run of the argument that he muzzles opposition. I think that he's testing out his belief in democracy, which led him to fight the military.
But there are people who will counter what you just said now, which is trying to give credit to the president.
Yes.
Events before the election, the EFCC inaction, the level of violence that some people were saying they didn't see much more proactive security response and all of that, and all of these bills, some will want to heap it. That's what I'm
saying, that if it had gone the other way, these things would have mattered now. It would have mattered, wouldn't it? It would have mattered. But wasn't it a political overreach for the president to ask EFCC to unfreeze that account? It was a political overreach.
The president didn't have the power.
It was a political overreach, and that is a testament to the fact that he didn't want any excuse. He didn't want that blame. But I don't want to put any emphasis on that. But because if he had gone the other way, I'm just thinking that if he had gone the other way, all would have got the talking point. It would have been a talking point. So it is also going to be uncharitable if it went the way it did, and not just these ones and others that have gone the way they did, and we refuse to recognize that singular. That was not what it was in the past. We have seen people come out, and say we want to damn the will of the people, whichever way it goes, and it puts a closure to this whole one party states, but much more importantly, I want to recognize the resilience, the hard work of the winner and the Osho people who protected their mandate against the onslaught of the minions of the other party.
The first point you made was about the investments in the election that you had made before now.
Yes.
A lot of people will probably not understand what kind of investment. There might be those who will think, infrastructural development of the state.
No, I'm not talking about
investment in the electoral process.
The investment in the electoral process. When you don't pay attention to voter registration, the election
responsibilities that have been fed out to the process. Candidates and political
parties is a process. You are not interested in the voter register, and you want to win elections. You are not interested in conscious, dedicated, committed, trained
agents.
You want to win elections. You want to also, and the bigger challenge is that people's antecedents and their past are not rhyming. The rhetoric of today and yesterday. But this is a man who has won election as a senator, defeated an incumbent in an election. I think he should be studied.
Yet some people would like to put that tag of an unserious person.
No, my sense is that he should be studied against what kind of investment does he make in winning these elections. If you go around the connection with the people, the obvious palpable connection with the people, not so much in terms of what has been done, in my view, but the humility to engage paid off.
And we saw it in the vote as well. He, for instance, beautifully all the investments, the
people who voted for him before, their votes.
That is 107.
That is what he won. The places where he won the places he won in 2022 significantly upped their vote for him.
But generally, it is been described as an election that was very keenly contested. But if we are talking of an election in which we have 15 candidates and only 2 candidates swept the stakes like this, because if you are talking of 511,067 votes and 430,371 votes, and the third person
16,000
coming close, no, not that, that's uncharitable. It's not 16 now. 17.
Okay. That's almost the value of rejected votes.
Yeah, almost the value of rejected votes. At 16,000. Yeah, 16,000 something. I saw it somewhere. The rejected votes almost come more than the third person. now, can that be said to be clearly contested?
Well, ordinarily,
it was meant to, and then if you fast track to the larger political climate, the larger political platform, you see that we don't have 2 political parties. At least you have maybe about 4, 5
that are active.
Yeah, so where are they? But we didn't see this ABC with all the big noise around ABC as the number 1 opposition party. We didn't see that translate to votes. We didn't see the NDC that is also touted as a very big political opposition party. In fact, the NDC was not even on the ballot.
When I started with investments, it's because you asked me to say what you saw differently. So that's why I veered to that. I don't see most political parties making these investments. Your activity online must connect with activity offline. There's so much energy online, but the connection with the people. You see, people talk about youth. They say, oh, the youth are on social media. They are the ones that will determine this. And I ask which youth? The urban youth, the one that is on Netflix during elections. If you went to Osun, you will have seen young people in Ijibo, in Ede, in Ara. You see young people. These are not affected because Osun State has huge student population. You have huge numbers of tertiary institutions. But those institutions are not, many of them are not indigenous. They are not indigenous. It's also probable that their parents will have recalled some of them home, given the terms that preceded that election. So it may matter, it may not matter. But the truth is that the youth in the communities, that's what I'm talking about. The youth in the communities are active, and we don't count them in. We look at the numbers on X, we look at the numbers on Instagram and all the rest of them. What is the number of the young people who are participating at that, are playing in that platform? So when you have a politician who is connecting with the demographics, women, community, backwater communities, engaging in those places, doing the hard work. If you even look around, you see that no matter what you say, you see that the delicate investment in this election is almost a family thing.
That's where I'm going to now. Can we see the hands of the younger Adeleke in all of this? The influence, you said the youth, the fact that here you have a band that was made for something, which connects easily with the younger population.
Yes, but if you stop at that, that's what I'm telling you. The dancing, the younger Adeleke can connect. He has this category that he can connect with, and those ones he connects with are not voters. They are typists. They do plenty typing on the keyboard. They analyze elections, but doing the hard work of coming to queue to vote. So I don't call them. They are community people. So what kind of music also, reaches out to the community, young people. Those ones are available. You saw all kinds of musicians, come into both from the opposition and everywhere, but targeting the particular person. But what I'm talking about is the energy of engaging, of getting beyond the comfort of social media, getting away from the comfort of, urban, life, and getting into the communities where the votes really are. The votes are irrefutable. The votes are out there. Osogbo has votes, but Osogbo is cosmopolitan. Yeah. And even if you go and look at your state, Ekiti, what's it called? Ado could have had the highest number of votes. But when you look at the voting pattern, you find out that in terms of voting, it does not come to pass.
That's true. Now, those two investments, that's investments in voter education.
Yes.
And then investment in some little things that would think don't matter. Yes. Like education.
Yes.
For party members, particularly those that are going to be actively deployed to election duty.
Yes.
Is it too late for political parties thinking of 2027?
No, the arrogance is what even amazes me at times.
That they still don't see it as something that is a responsibility for them.
In fact, the delusion is crazy. When you see people talk about the fact that they have won election And then you go and look at the statistics and look at their deployment. They say, no, INEC has a responsibility to defend the votes. And I say, how can INEC defend the votes? INEC conducts elections. The protocol of elections have allowed you to have an eye and a leg in the electoral process. Recognized by the law. You now think that it is the media and civil society that will assume that responsibility for you, when in real fact they are not some interlopers, because their role is to see and report. They do not interfere with the process. But the party agent can call out an electoral officer and say, you have not uploaded. No observer can go to an electoral officer and say, why have you not uploaded? Exactly. That observer or that media person is overreaching his or her responsibility. But the party agent can interfere. A party agent can say, why did you not upload? And this result that you are giving me, the cabinet office is not showing or not showing, or that this is different from what we want to upload. And then there's a connection between that polling unit granular observer and the party agent, the supervisor, through text message. So you can have your own independent result viewing portal. You won't find that anywhere. There is no investment in those days. Civil society is investing in, Briada has a PRVT, you have a situation room, everybody has some kind of, monitoring of the electoral election. The politicians don't invest in that. Even what they call situation room, when you get there is a bantering parlor.
Yeah, that's what I want to move to now. We saw in this election, we saw at least 2 political parties creating situation rooms of their own. But those situation rooms just there monitoring annex instead of having their own situation room that is taking results directly from the feed, from their agents in the feed.
How can you depend? INEC put up IREF for transparency, for a double check of its own processes. That's number one. You have a different responsibility. You must harvest from the polling unit. And then you can call in media, civil society to watch. Also be there in your own vision. You go to collation. You can have civil society say, come to our collation, see our own tabulation, and then that comparison is possible.
That tabulation is coming from results that directly invested from your own party
business. But what do you have? Many of the political parties, because of lack of true membership, the party agency becomes a transactional relationship where people are asked to come and work on election day. Somebody can work for this party in the morning and work for the other party in the evening. And then compromise is also easy. You go to observe election and you see party agents sitting together, and you that is an observer, you are observing things that are untoward, that you can harm their candidates, and you are looking at them and they are bantering away. They are just discussing because they have already been set. Political parties also register observers for party agents for political parties who may not even have candidates in the election.
If a political party that is serious wants to go through this route, how demanding is it? Is it doable or undoable?
If you have to invest, number one is not just about money. Do you have political education for your members? These people who coming to be your party agent, are they members of your party?
Grow organically.
What does your party believe that they believe in? You've been observing, you've gone to Ghana to observe election. When you see candidates, when you see party agents of a political party, you start to tell you that them. They are not valuable.
And they tell you that Mother Ghana will be angry.
They are not valuable. So you find out that PPP can call its own results from its own. It already knows whether it has lost or won. It can congratulate the winner because what has come from its own party agents already opened what has happened. There was some investment in 2023. I know a political party that invested quite a lot in party agency. But some said they have what they call citizen agents. I don't know if you've heard that before. They say they have citizen agents. And he said, what does citizen agency mean? What does it mean to be a citizen agent? It's just like saying you are a citizen observer or you are a citizen media person. If you are not accredited by INEC, if you are not accredited as of today, if you are not accredited by INEC, you cannot go and interfere in the process. If you interfere in the process as an agent, you will be, if you are not accredited and you go there to interfere, they will arrest you. But if you are representing a political party as an agent, you can interfere with the process. So we have continued to say this, that the big challenge is the lack of quality investment in the electoral process by the political parties.
And I ask again, is it too late?
It is not too late. Are they all listening to us now? They know they are listening, and they have been listening. But the problem is not listening. The problem will be they will rather pay attention to when I said we should also give some credit to the president. That's what they want to argue for. That's what they want to argue for. The salient point of what they need to do.
The takeover assignment for them
is not going to be important. What will be important is that you said they should credit. You say it's a civil society. The truth of the matter is that if democracy has to thrive, there is hard work that has to come to it. And if you are following the trends of things, you will see that people who are serious are overreaching themselves right now to engage the people. Even if today, the reforms that have happened in the electoral process have handed the power back to the people. And a lot of people are not conscious of that. If you don't invest in training, you will invest in money. Because it is the people. If you don't talk to them, you will buy them. And if you don't talk to them, even if you buy them, they will not do what you want. They will do what the person who has convinced them has told them. So whichever way, there is a huge investment, and it is not only financial. It has to do through engagement, ideologically. If you see people who believe in certain kind of political parties, who understand what that party is, they are unshakable. There is nothing you can do about their movement.
All right. In an electoral climate where investing in political thugs, people who will help you shoot guns, scare people away, carry ballot boxes, stuff ballot boxes, in an era when all of this have become very unfashionable. The only investment political parties and candidates have is to invest in political party education.
Can we do some chest thumping about that? We can do some chest thumping that we were the people that push this. Civil society, media, push this process to the point where those things have become very unfashionable. Even when you do it now, INEC has a way to recalibrate the results.
All right, we have more to talk about on the Osho election, but that will be after we come back from this break.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT, on air, online.
People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
Government should come. We need Nigeria to work. We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people. people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, politics, and power with Imoni Amarere.
Will performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fail after the headlines?
1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT.
All right, the program is Jigsaw. Our guest is Comrade Ezra Wago, Executive Director of Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa. PACA is a member of the Civil Society Situation Room. Comrade Ezra Wago is also a member of the board of Yaga Africa. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the Osun election. You mentioned the issue of the continuous voter
the CVR, yes.
CVR. I'm sure very soon INEC will resume the CVR again in preparation for the 2027 general election. So political parties still have an opportunity to try to draw a connecting line between the party membership and the voter register.
If you say you have 10 million members,
I mean, you are calling 17,000.
It makes a mockery of those. That shows you that the political party organizing is weak. And it comes from even how they recruit leadership within the political parties. The person who is national organizing secretary of the party is a gift of a political figure to one of his boys, not in terms of capacity and experience to be able to really know what to put in place. And it's not during the election time. Like I said, I had to go look at the work. Where was Osun in 2022 in terms of voter registration? Where are they today by February where it ended? And I told you that they are only second to Osun State. I mean, to Borno State.
Yeah.
500. That was out of the number of voters added. That shows you that these are people who are, there is some intentionality, in the work in making sure that people come out to vote, and it has paid off for them.
Yeah.
So the excitement, the celebration that you see, you also putting the work. Are you interested in putting the work? But much more is that the environment, the democratic environment, is allowing organizing. You can't now say, I can't win elections because of incumbency. Somebody has shown you that incumbency, political federal might, governors coming together, is a testament to the growth of our democratic process, whether you agree or not, that a man can win election in the face of all of this.
Osun has proved it.
Shows that if you work,
you get results.
And I've always said it, we've discussed this. I have said that first, you could have people in INEC hawking solutions about what they can do for you. The power is with the people today. The power is with the people. But if you talk to the people correctly, if you have the correct rhetoric, and your antecedents match your rhetoric, they will reward you. But if your antecedents does not match your rhetoric,
so in a way, the potential voters are still out there on the streets, waiting to be mobilized to become voters.
Absolutely.
Registered voters.
Yes.
That's the first task.
Yes.
And then for the voters, the votes are also with them. And the responsibility is also there for anybody who wants the vote to also mobilize them to come out.
If you want the vote,
you have to mobilize.
Either you buy them or you talk to them. That's where we are currently. You are either buying them or you are talking to them. But what Osun prove again is that even when you buy, it's not a guarantee.
You may have as well be buying it for your opponent.
You may have been buying it for your opponent. But what does that show you? Power. That this PVC has become a powerful
symbol of fulfillment of good governance if you want.
If you want.
All right. let's talk about some other things. You said it's not the first time. Have we tested the new Electoral Act elsewhere? I just want to find out whether the aspects of the Electoral Act 2026 that we have tested here and how efficacious have they been. Are there loopholes? Are there things we want to? We can only improve. This one is not in the Electoral Act. Okay, we can
only improve things. We have not seen downloadable PVCs before. Today, we have seen
evidence of people using the downloadable PVCs.
Yes, but it's not been perfected because there are places where the other report points clearly to the fact that people who came with downloadable PVCs were rejected. They were
not able to explain why.
That's part of what they are going to have to be doing in their trainings and all the rest. But what is important is that there is a shift, and that shift is fundamental. Today, you can go with a downloadable PVC.
Which means technology is also plays a role.
Yes. After a while, it may be possible. You may even eventually this PVC may no longer be. But it is the function of where we are technologically that you are still having a bimodal process where you are coming with PVC, permanent voters card, and downloadable PVC. At some point, if our technology expands and more of our people are able to use that process effectively, you can phase out, PVC, which is something we've been talking about.
The first leg to that is the fact that technology is also playing a role in how people can register as voters. It doesn't have to be you have to travel to anywhere. You don't just have to go and wait hours before you can. You are more you actually register as a voter from the comfort of your home.
We are not invested in what is not going well.
That's what the political parties should also be preaching.
That's what I'm saying, the progress that we are making. Now, when you download in the comfort of your home, nobody knows whether you have PVC. You can't sell your downloadable PVC. Like where you say you saw PVC in the 20 PVC in somebody's house and all of those things. That's done for voter suppressions. In the camp of your enemy, you buy up the PVC. So they know they can't use it to vote. But at least they won't get
your opponent
of getting those votes. So that progress is something that these reforms have enabled us to have. The result transmission process is also a bit strengthened now in the sense that you can have, especially in National, where the IREV, supported transparency real time. Even when there is a little, delay, it was coming from people sending in stuff that could not be so they are sorting it out back end. So there was some kind of glitch as well. But what is important is that citizens and everyone can follow the result transmission process more closely, unlike what it was in the past.
Which one is the correct position of the law? That election results must be uploaded real time or shall be uploaded. I listened to, I think it's Election 101, Yaga calls it.
Yes.
Where Samson Itodo was saying that more like saying party agents must insist that the result is transmitted before they leave the venue, where it becomes impossible.
No, everybody know it is impossible.
Okay.
The most important thing is the transparency component of this process.
Yeah.
If it is not, there are places where there are network issues. You can't say everywhere. You know where you are on 4G, you know where you are on 5G, and majority of your places are 2G.
Yeah.
So there could be such challenges. But if you have a party agent that is alive to his or her responsibilities, he will be able to meet that demand. So, in fact, what is the challenge if parties arrange Starlink in strategic places, so that nobody can start telling you about investment? No, when I say investment, I know what I'm talking about. You understand? You can put these things, around the places that are strategic for your winning, and so that you are not undermined, transmission, you can help to boost, this process, in a way that.
And if you don't amount to this way,
that vote by. No, that cannot be. You have only enabled your process to go here, so that there's no excuse to undermine you. So if we are investing, if we truly want this democracy to grow, the complaint industry has to be shut down. We have to shut it down and do the work. And I'm saying that my excitement from Oshu is that I saw work. I didn't see work. Yes, I saw hard work. I didn't see victory that came from incumbency, from shortcuts. I saw people who were determined, who were committed to the process, and they were not propaganda for propaganda. If anything you bring there, well, I don't know about that, but I do know that they were matching every step of the way. They were crying more, but doing the work that was on the ground, and people are taking them for granted. And if we learn a lesson from that, if we can, those of them who are interested in power should be able to study. You can be sending congratulatory messages, but what is the lesson that you can take out for power from? It's like I told you, is a hard political organizing. Yep. And they brought the right people to do so. Most of the people who were organizing for them were also people who had roots in constituencies. Not people who are not even authentic in terms of you are speaking for somebody, but you are not a voter.
Let's talk about this challenge, which also reared its very ugly heads in the Oshu election, which is our inability to resolve pre-election litigation on time still poses danger. 3 days to the election in Oshu State, the Court of Appeal gave judgment which asserted that a hitherto disqualified candidate should be put on the ballot. That was 3 days to election. 3 days to election, INEC had already printed ballot papers, had already moved them to Oshu State. But as a result of that court judgment, INEC had to go back to the drawing board to reprint ballot papers to accommodate a 15th candidate on the ballot paper. I can imagine what that would have amounted to in terms of printing those fresh ballot papers. That's number one. The logistics of having to move them overnight to Oshu State, and then the energy sapping process that it threw everybody into, not just INEC, security agents as well, even you monitors that had to be there. Or is it true? Have they brought it? Have they not brought it? You also have to be there because you must reflect it in your report. So everybody was tasked. So it's still a challenge. How do we address it? And at the end of the day, was it really worth it? Because of how many votes, I wrote it down somewhere. 155 votes. Because that was what SDP that created all of this crisis.
Those 155 votes.
That was what it got. 155 votes. Because of 155 votes, look at the billions of naira that INEC had to spend again to print. Look at the amount of energy and resources wasted in shifting those ballot papers to Oshu, distributing it overnight, people kept awake and all of that. Can there be another way out?
So the first is to be able to look at your laws. INEC is a law-abiding organization. Not just a law, it's created, it's a creation of the law. So it has responsibility to obey the law. Now, the litigious nature of our politicians can create crisis. The courts were there, they didn't ask anybody to come. Somebody felt injured and felt that if he's deprived of the right to contest, he could have won the election. And that cannot be answered in an abstract. So you have to do something. So the challenge is to call on the judiciary to understand what you have talked about, so you can expedite action around this kind of litigations in a way that it does not cause this kind of challenge. But you can't also deprive the citizens of their rights to challenge whatever injustice they do through the court process. So you are talking about, you know, if they were not in court, the candidate of the SDP will say he's that he would have won the election. And how do you know that?
Yes, that's what I've been explained. That he won the election.
And then that 55 votes, that can bring you back to the point where you are not just only printing this ballot box, you are conducting
the election,
the whole election,
from good security up and down.
So I think it's a tight situation, but the call will have to be on our politicians to also look at the consequences of some of the actions that they take. You know, if you don't participate, you know yourself that even if you don't participate or you participate, it does not impact this election in any way. You could have gone to court after to make the case, but you decided to, so that in case they don't hear you before the election, you can, when you hear you after, when you could have in the eyes of the law, you should have been a candidate for that election, and there is nothing you can do when that happens. So we have a challenge with our political class that have, you know, and there are things that are cleared that you don't have to go to court. Our court does not have to hear every process. If it was not hard, they can go to Supreme Court. And then you can have another now off-cycle election on account of a political party that was denied his right to seek redress in the law court. So it's simply a matter of, could the courts have had it earlier? Could they have expedited action? But it's the judiciary that has to answer that. But it's also part of training, the investment you do in democracy. How much of our judges, how much of our courts have been brought into the whole electoral process and the impact of, you know, whatever action is taken. So we have to keep investing. Now we have learned from this. When the Kogi conundrum arose, there was a lesson. It brought us to the point where we tinkered with the Electoral Act in a way that it now resolved the problem of if somebody passes before, you know, inauguration and all of that, what can be done. So my sense is that rather than put a blame game, it should be a lesson period. It should be, and in this you have to talk to the attitude. The attitude of the politicians. We must be able to look at that because
when I rolled out the election timetable, a lot of people were saying, why do you have to conduct primaries this early when the election itself is not due until next year and all of that? Even right now, the primaries that were conducted, the parties are yet to even settle issues of. These are issues that are dragged. Before you know it, we will see the election day. Even then, we have been completely resolved the chairmanship of certain political parties. And these are issues that could also impact on the election. That's what I'm saying. If somebody who ought not to have superintended over the party process leading to the conduct of primaries did, and in the end, the court found out he ought not to. They have over 40 cases to resolve issues of post-election litigations. Sometimes run into election, the conduct of election, and people don't have no capacity to, you know, dissect which one is which. They say there are a lot of litigations, but we can find a way to deal with these issues in an ADR manner. You know, alternative dispute resolution process where everything does not have to go to court. But if the political parties can also reinvent their internal democratic processes in a way that does not allow for this long litigation, it could also be helpful. You know, but whatever diminishes this electoral process, the majority of it is in the doorstep of the behavior or misbehavior of the political parties. And they don't like this, they don't like that conversation, they like to outsource it. You know, they like when we are talking about INEC, they like when we are talking about the judiciary and all of that. People all the blames, and no, judiciary also. Judiciary has become another whipping boy. But when you now x-ray their own conduct, when you put it side by side, you know, you see that
the shenanigan that comes out from their conduct is how can you not conduct ordinary primary very well? Nobody is asking that question. Ordinary primary, your own political party cannot be conducted in a way that can exemplify what you want to Elijah in the secondary election. And we don't talk about it enough. We paper over it. How can you as a political party be having 44 cases just on your own primary? These are things that should shame people who conduct these elections.
On the whole, do you think INEC is ready for 2027 from what we saw in Osun State as a template, using it as a template? First of all, the rapid response of INEC to the Court of Appeal judgment, within, we could count the hours, and they said we will be there, and they were there. That's number one. But if it happened on a nationwide scale, I'm wondering whether
176,000 is against 3,000. This comparison is apple and oranges. The dynamics are different. Everybody, I hear people say this is a litmus test for 2020. How can it be a litmus test?
The best is for it not to happen.
The truth of the matter is to continue to strengthen the process in a way. All that Osun could have done for INEC is to give them confidence that it is doable.
Yeah.
But if they relax on their oars because of what happened, in fact, Osun can become an anesthetics for demanding, what needs to happen. Because now people are shouting, everybody is chesting, beating, celebrating, but that can become your Waterloo. So it's more important today for INEC to recognize that the job is much more than the topography, the infrastructure that is required for the general election, the manpower. And let me close here before you. Every subnational election is as good as the resident electoral commissioner. Sometimes we want to give credit to the people at the national.
In Abuja,
But Oluwatoyin Babalola and the party electoral officers and APOs, those young youth corps who conducted the Osun election,
are the real heroes.
They are the real heroes of this election, and we must give them the credit. So if you have Oluwatoyin who has replicated what she did in Ondo, in Osun, if you have them across the country like that, and there are a good number of them, you have many of them like that. You have in Nasara, you have many of them who are very experienced, who can own their own onions. If we have more resident electoral commissioners who are unbuyable, who have a pedigree, we are likely going to have better elections. And that's the investment that I'm calling that we should keep making. In training, not just INEC officials, but even the political actors themselves.
Thank you so much, Comrade Ezewawagu. Welcome back once again from Osogbo.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those very valid views with us. Comrade Ezewawagu is Executive Director, Player Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PECAC. PECAC is also a member of the Civil Society Situation Room, and Comrade Ezewawagu himself is a member of the board of Yaga Africa. Thank you for investing time with us. I'll see you around. My name is Ben Garuleba. Ask you to enjoy the rest of the day, and of course, other members of the team also say thank you for your time.
Here at Accra Fashion Week, diversity is on full display. This is where style becomes a powerful expression of identity. But before we hit the carpet, here is what is coming up on today's show. We find out how B-Boy Jr. overcame a childhood affliction to become a star in France's breakdancing scene. We discover how Dinah Ikenga harnessed out life's challenges through her arts in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then we see a boundary-breaking fashion show in Malawi with all shapes of beautiful. I am KMJ and you're watching Afrimax. We are starting in Kenya at a restaurant with a difference, where every waiter and waitress are hearing impaired. So, how do you place an order? Let's find out.
Nobody will understand you in this cafe in Nairobi, even if you order in a local language without an accent. And shouting won't make it any better. And yet, the guests here look completely satisfied. But why?
The main reason why I come here to Toilet Cafe is because the waiters here can just read your wish from the lips.
And that is true. At Palette Cafe, you don't have to say a single word to order. A sign is enough, or rather, sign language. Wondering why or what happens if you don't know sign language? Most of the staff are hearing impaired and therefore communicate using gestures and strong facial expressions. And last but not least, the prints on their shirts helps to avoid misunderstandings. And therefore, we go into how the cafe is helping to strengthen the deaf community in Kenya. Let's look at how it came about in the first place.
Palette Cafe is a place where people who are hearing impaired have been hired, from the kitchen to the management to any sector of the business. The main reason that I joined here was actually it's pure humanity and help people, and what I was doing before as an aid worker, so linked up the aid working side of me into the business, and that's what made us to create this beautiful space.
there is an estimation of 1,774,000 deaf and hard of hearing in Kenya who face challenges in healthcare, education, and employment, alongside limited awareness of the Kenyan Sign Language. But how do the staff at the cafe even speak to each other? After all, they have to work together to prepare the food.
The guys could not hear, learned about a bit of how to communicate, the guys who can hear also, by giving the sign languages. So all my team also learned the sign languages within these premises.
For the deaf or hearing impaired working in Faisal Cafe, the takeaway is clear: more understanding and a secure income. How can the restaurant also serve as a sign of hope for the community?
I've had an awesome experience at Palate's Cafe. This is, I'll call it a rare gem in Nairobi, something very significant and something that brings a lot of feedback back to our community.
Since he started in 2019, Faisal's business now has 2 active branches with an overall of 30 out of 40 employees who are hearing impaired or deaf. But why did Faisal opt of combining tasty dishes with community impact?
Creating jobs for people who are in need was pure humanity. An expansion of Palette Cafe is again pure job creation and employment for people. So all these things is what makes us success.
The Palette Cafe is not just about eating your favorite meal, but also about providing a meaningful activity, breaking down barriers and creating opportunities. And don't forget, one sign is enough.
Born in the streets and driven by rhythm, breakdancing is more than just a movement. It's a form of defiance and self-expression. And in France, B-Boy Jr. has turned it into a platform for power, even while living with polio.
Head-spinning moves and gravity-defying contortions. Breakdancing is a highly athletic discipline. But how do you perform it when you have a physical disability?
I contracted poliomyelitis when I was around 3 years old. I've been living with it since my early childhood. That actually helped me create my own dance style. It's become my source of power.
But how do you tap that power to dance when you have a weaker leg caused by a debilitating condition and ultimately dance so well that you go on to become one of France's biggest breakdancing stars? Junior Bosila Banya, also known as B-Boy Jr., is a former world champion. Despite his disability, how did he get to where he is today?
I've worked a lot on myself. I still continue to do so. Of course, there are always things that I can't do like everyone else, but I try and adapt. I don't look for excuses. I've always had the strength to outdo myself.
At 43, Junior isn't slowing down. He travels the globe, teaching and performing. He's now starring in a play in France called La Tendresse, or Tenderness. It explores the relationship between young men and the concept of masculinity. It's a combination of hip-hop and performance theater. How does it feel to take to another stage after his success as a breaking icon?
I'm just adding words to my movements. Actually, it's not really that different. It really complements the way I express myself. It feels like a logical step for me. It's powerful. The play is also about accessing movement and the body.
Junior has lived in Paris since 2005. The city is set to host the Olympic Games this year, where breakdancing will be included as an official discipline for the very first time. Will that help put the dance form on the map?
We deserve to get the same recognition as other sports on an athletic level. We devote our lives and our bodies to the discipline. It's hours and hours of hard work. The movements that we make might seem impossible to some. Some athletes from other disciplines even envy us for it. Breakdancing definitely has a place in the Olympics.
For Junior himself, breaking didn't seem like a natural choice, especially when he was younger. Junior was born in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He was sent to France to join his father when he was 5 to get medical treatment for his polio, but not before it caused lasting damage to his leg. What was his life like before he became the king of breaking?
I couldn't run as fast as the others, but I was a good football goalie. I couldn't really kick, but I could pack a good punch. People respected me as well. I knew how to defend myself. But of course, when you're young, some people also make fun of you.
Junior discovered breakdance as a young boy. It helped him cope with his disability.
I tried to move like Michael Jackson. I liked gymnastics, so I mixed that in. Then I realized I couldn't do some moves with my leg. So I injected some acrobatics in it. And when I discovered breakdance and hip-hop culture, it really increased my self-confidence.
Breakdancing opened up a new world for Junior. Did it provide an escape from the limitations imposed by his disability?
For me, it's clear that dancing was a great tool to get revenge against the conditions in my life. In my play, I speak of an ideal world where I could be free to do what I want, think what I want. When I dance, I'm in an ideal world. The ideal world is where I'm simply myself.
For Junior, breaking isn't just a way to triumph despite all the odds. It's a superpower by which he lives his life.
Dina Ekanga, a Congolese artist, demonstrated an early childhood talent for drawing. Her challenging upbringing exposed her to hardships that she explores and addresses in a hammer and nail artwork. Enjoy.
Dina Ekanga nails it every time again. Nailing and hammering is maybe the most essential part of her artistic work. Why has she chosen to hammer life's challenges?
I have been hammered several times by family problems and conflict, as well as by the illness of myopia.
More about what exactly the nails in Dina's work mean later. But first, how did she find her way in art in the first place?
The desire to engage in art has been with me since I was little. It was an observation my parents made that I would draw everywhere in the house. I constantly received reprimands at school, as in my various notebooks, there were always drawings.
To become the awarded artist she is today was not an easy task for Dina. How did she handle hardships like family disputes and illnesses she's had to face?
Despite my eye disease, I still manage to use these small nails and create my artwork. We improve every day to give our best every day, without necessarily taking into account difficulties, obstacles, and the problems that bind us. We must fight against this. We're not going to say that we don't want to do something because we are sick. And family conflict, we handle them and face them until today.
To overcome her mental and physical pain, Dina sought education at an art school, but again she was challenged, this time by the domination of male teachers and students. How did this shape her artistic journey?
By competing against other boys who were there, by giving my best, by improving my sketches, by working very hard, by attaching myself to them, to try to become better like them, as they said. While we were at the academy, what bothered me a bit was the techniques being used there. It was more about brushes, colors, pencils, pens. We always came back to somewhat normal tools that we use every day. And I often wondered if we couldn't draw with other materials besides brushes, pens, and the like.
Now coming back to her leitmotif, what was the deciding factor to her now working with hammer and nail?
Le coup symbolise l'efficacité, l'endurance,
courage, and everything that is solid, and for me it represents a human being, while the hammer is like the blows of life.
The discovery of some native Congolese sculptures, which traditionally bear nails, greatly impacted Dina's artistic direction. Based on that, what is the central message she aims to convey through her artwork?
I proclaim assurance and hope in response to challenges taking place in Africa or Congolese society.
Being Congolese is a huge and maybe deciding factor in Dina's work, a fact that she also likes to put to the test not only with nailing. What is the meaning behind the inclusion of scarification in her artwork?
The scar display various motifs and logos, African as well as Lemwafi's emblem.
Having learned that each nail for Dina stands for pain, why did she specifically choose these obsidian-hued nails for her artwork? And what does she hope to achieve with her artwork?
I preferred black nails in relation to African black skin to identify the African people.
Dina passionately advocates for African art and culture. How does she leverage her art to engage the community?
It's about identifying the people we are, recognizing our history, and knowing our origins and values.
For Dina Ikanga, each nail tells a story of pain. Every hammer stroke signifies a battle. Despite challenges, there's the power to create, turn suffering into art, and find strength in tough times.
Getting a PhD is a huge accomplishment for anyone, but for Tumi, a South African theater maker with ADHD, it's a higher energy choreography. In a country where neurodiversity still faces stigma and systemic hurdles, she's balancing a degree, work and life while dancing forward. And in 5, 6, 7, 8, cue Tumi.
As a performer and director, Matumisang Motisi challenges norms and stereotypes with her controversial dance and theatre performances. Like her groundbreaking piece, Staying Red, on Periods in 2018.
I do believe that certain regimes and certain ways of thinking need to be challenged and need to be disrupted. I also understand that there's a learning process in that, a learning that I can take from those spaces and a learning I can give to those spaces.
And now she has set her sights on the next step. Tumi is about to become a doctor of dance and movement. But why is it so important for her to change dance and make viewers and dancers confront their prejudices and preconceptions?
I think I count myself very lucky to be able to do movement and physical theatre because I truly believe, and I'm still trying to articulate it, but I truly believe that the arts and theatre is able to do something that not many other disciplines or fields can do in terms of bringing people together that are different abilities, but we can come together and make something meaningful.
Dumi belongs to a small group of Black South African women who make it to the academies at all. The challenges on the way are still too many. There is a lack of opportunities, money, support, and when there is also mental disposition, how do you manage that?
I fell in love with theatre. I fell in love with performance. And I spoke to my parents about that, but they were supportive. They knew that I wasn't going to be like my brothers, who are very business-minded people, that always scared me, very numbers people.
But it's not just an area of interest that sets Dumi apart from her brothers. At 28 years old, she's diagnosed with ADHD. Another major obstacle on her way to a PhD. How does that work?
I have an advocate for being in the therapeutic process, and I have been in multiple therapeutic processes. But when I decided to get a PhD, I knew that I would need help. I'd been in therapy for a while, and we obviously talked about the PhD, and it was really, really hard for me.
Being African, it's not normal to open up about your feelings or mental issues. Many families don't agree to seeing therapists. How did her family support her during her diagnosis?
My parents and my family mean a lot to me, and they have made very many sacrifices so that I can pursue this, because it is not a normal way about it. And they did. They supported me, and they support my siblings in the journey to pursue knowledge.
So recently, like a month or two ago, when she explained the ADHD, when she explained the medication, then so many things started making sense.
How did she manage mentally, physically, and emotionally while juggling her job, studies, lecturing overseas, and a relationship with friends and family?
I realized in my undergrad that I had a lot of anger. And it was during the time of protest action at universities. And so there was a lot that I became conscious of about my identity. And I knew that I had felt discrimination, I had felt prejudice in different spaces, but it became very, very visible to me during my undergrad years. And I needed an outlet for this anger. And my art became that. And then I got to teach, and there was a softness that came into my world, and for me that was the healing. You know, I think that part of it, you must feel the anger, and you must be allowed to express the anger, because out of that something beautiful can arise, and teaching is that for me.
Dumi's main aim is to break prejudices, because in post-apartheid South Africa, it should simply be possible for everyone to continue their education.
It's not normal to struggle sometimes as much as we are struggling. And so to be okay to ask for help and support, but to be agentic about one's health, mental and otherwise, is important when you want to pursue something like a PhD. Find people who are your people that can support you through it. Yeah, but do it. At the end of the day, do it.
The House of Zandria's All Shades of Beautiful initiative started in 2021 in Malawi. It invites everyone to feel included and beautiful on the runway, regardless of their background.
Malawian fashion house, House of Zandria, is breaking an unspoken rule that still pervades the fashion industry today. Differently abled and beautiful cannot coexist.
So the gap that has always been there in the fashion industry was people wouldn't trust a person that has a disability to be able to produce something. They wouldn't feel or think they're beautiful enough to become a model. We have a fashion designer that used to say back then she would make something nice and make it maybe for a relative. And when that relative goes somewhere and people compliment her, and when people come and see her and see that she has a disability, they would change their mind and think, there's no way this one can produce something right. But because of having All Shades of Beautiful and showcasing the work that those people have done, it has built a trust and a belief that even persons with disabilities can be in fashion. They can be trusted as fashion designers, and they can work also as models and parade on the runway.
To be differently abled remains a blind spot in fashion's diversity agenda. Even globally, the absence of differently abled models or designers is so stark that inclusivity reports do not even feature a disability category. So how was it that in Malawi, an inclusive fashion initiative was born?
So basically, All Shades of Beautiful is an initiative that is there to give a platform to fashion designers with and without disabilities to showcase their work and talents through the fashion show that we host annually.
To design for people who are differently abled, it has given me a lot of new ideas to work with them, like to know how to make designs that would perfectly fit them.
Malawi, like much of Africa, isn't a very inclusive society. People who are differently abled are often marginalized, either viewed with fear or hidden by their families. This makes this House of Zandria initiative all the more important.
One time I was able to showcase outside, that was in Portugal. And also after that, I was nominated for Shining Stars Africa Awards 2023. So lucky enough, I've won as Best Female Fashion Designer of the Year.
Creativity has no physical limitations, and initiatives like All Shades of Beautiful help to promote inclusive access and opportunities.
All Shades of Beautiful isn't a profit-making initiative. We just want to ensure that people in Malawi and also outside Malawi are able to ensure that we include people with disability in the fashion industry. Considering how most of the times, whenever there's a runway show, we never see people with disabilities there.
Through All Shades of Beautiful, that's when House of Zandria started adaptive fashion. So I think with the experience of All Shades of Beautiful, it's helped us to grow.
The whole idea of All Shades of Beautiful is that we should be able to work with foundations that take care of people with disability as well in Malawi. So there are times whenever we have sponsors that might sponsor us with fabrics, we do provide fabrics to the designers. Last year, we were able to provide machines to people with disabilities that were able to participate in All Shades. And on top of that, we have introduced a business incubation program. The main aim of the business incubation program is that fashion designing shouldn't just be a passion, that we should be able to make money out of it.
All Shades of Beautiful is putting a finger in the wound. Inclusion requires us to expand our philosophy of beauty and to radically redefine what it means to be beautiful.
What an amazing and diverse show we have for you today, and all from the prestigious Accra Fashion Week. I am going to rub shoulders with some influencers, but don't forget to hit us up on our socials for more. Till next time.
At Chabindu Camp outside Goma, Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF, has set up tents where dozens of displaced persons are being processed. They can also participate in listening sessions with psychologists. Rose has been receiving care for depression. She blames the war for her mental state, but says her journey to recovery has begun.
When someone flees war, they are very disturbed, and that was my case too. But here we have been taught how to forget everything we've left behind and how to calm our thoughts.
Rose is not alone. According to MSF, living in camps around Goma is a challenging environment for the hundreds of thousands of displaced people, especially women. Every day, medical staff say about 70 female survivors of sexual assault visit the 6 MSF health facilities in camps near Goma. Faustin Hakizimana is the head of Bulengo camp. He says the need for psychosocial support is more urgent than ever.
When we looked into the real problem, we found out that many have been disturbed by the horrors of war and others have been raped when they look for wood in the forests, which is why so many women here suffer of mental illness.
Gerlas Mulekia, a clinical psychologist with Médecins Sans Frontières at the Lushagala camp, says more help is needed.
Most of the people we see show signs of anxiety and post-traumatic problems. We run 3 group sessions a day, and each group is made up of 10 people, for a total of 30 people a day. If it goes on like this, we'll need to expand the activities to try and meet as many of the needs as possible.
Psychosocial care is available to both genders, but officials say most of the people taking advantage of the services are women whose mental health challenges are impacting their ability to care for their children. Zanem Netizaidi, VOA News, Goma.
Hello everyone, you're watching Business Africa. My name is Asha Samput and welcome to our new edition dedicated to the continent's business and economic news. Like every fortnight, you can win $150 in our Business Africa game. More details later, but first, today's top stories. Ghana's textile sector relies on tradition to ensure its survival in the face of the inflow of imported goods.
I decided to start the textile business. But it came to a time the Ghanaian print, it was expensive. So people couldn't afford it.
Reducing greenhouse gas emissions while decreasing traffic jams. Kigali bets on electric bikes.
Gura
Ride is a project which consists in reducing the number of people waiting during a long time for buses and which are quite expensive for some. No more water chores, a reality within reach thanks to the European Investment Bank's commitment to improving infrastructure.
It really was hard work getting water. Most women had to wait until 2 o'clock in the morning. At that time, there's just a few drops of water.
Ghana receives 160 tons of textile waste every day from the West. The country, which has a rich history in textile manufacturing, is now fighting on the 2 fronts of imports of foreign fabrics and second-hand clothes. The country has thus chosen to bet on tradition and the Made in Ghana label. In 2004, the government even had the idea of establishing a casual Friday wear initiative to encourage the production and purchase of locally made clothes and to promote Ghanaian textiles and its fashion industry industry. Our journalists John Owotwi and George Ibosaki want to meet these exceptional tailors, a story of resilience and resistance of a sewing sector that is still very much alive. This Friday Wear initiative brought a boost in business for local dressmakers and tailors as the wearing of wax print fabrics, which was widely deemed as out of place in formal settings, became a more universally accepted style of clothing, bringing a higher value to the production and use of these garments. A move that was intended to revive the local textiles industry, which employed some 3,000 people, a significant fall from some 30,000 in the 70s. But with an increase in demand of the locally produced clothes, following the Friday Wear initiative, local production struggled to meet the supply. This led to a rise in the price of the local fabrics and opened up an avenue for the infiltration of the cheaper imported fabrics or counterfeited fabrics. Sarah Agri was introduced to the textile trade as a child by her grandmother. She currently sells both locally produced textiles and foreign counterfeited fabrics.
I decided to start the textile business, but it came to a time the Ghanaian print, it was expensive, so people couldn't afford it. So I made up my mind to join the high target, that is the foreign ones, and that one too is cheaper. So people started buying that one. And as for the GTP and printers like that soft, when somebody is going to marriage ceremony or funeral, then they buy the GTP because that is a traditional cloth.
GTP, ATL and Printex are actually the name of 3 of the 4 major garment factories that survived the decline of the sector in Ghana in the early 2000s. By extension, they gave their name to locally manufactured fabrics used for ceremonial or customary activities. Wooden, however, is of Francophone origin and has become accepted for contemporary use. These days, African print garments are worn daily in many variations in both formal and informal settings. The dressmakers sometimes cannot keep up with the orders, especially during the periods leading up to festive occasions. Some patrons also have to travel long distances to get their dresses made because of their individual taste and styles. Philomena Appiah regularly has to travel out of town to get her dresses made for her.
I was looking for a reliable person to sew my clothes, but I couldn't get one until my sister introduced someone for me at Saltpond to go there and sew my dress. So when I go there, I see the woman too is very serious to sew the dress for me. That's why I just travel from Cape Coast to Saltpond to get a person to sew my dress.
Artisanal tailors like Emmanuel Young-Colhams, a third-generation tailor and IT student, are all thankful to the family business they can depend on.
My dad took over him, and I've also taken over my dad. One thing that I've learned from my granddad is that whenever he sews dresses for someone, he makes it look unique in a way that he looks at your personality, your stature, and he sews the dress to fit you perfectly.
Ebenezer Ajay Mansa took over his father's once sought-after tailoring shop that specialized in hand-sewn suits, which was on the brink of collapse and has struggled to keep it afloat. But although he produces some fine garments, businesses like his face the threat of being pushed out of operation by yet another obstacle: cheaper, imported second-hand clothing from China, the US and UK has flooded the Ghanaian market, suffocating the local industry.
This shop is my father's shop. He's the one who taught me this work. What I learned from my father, I'm just continuing. At first, we got some pastors, lawyers, big men from the ministries. all the time bring their work here, suit here so that we sew for them. And now things are not like first.
But Professor Asma sees the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the AfCFTA, as another opportunity to reverse the decline in the clothing and textile industry. The agreement provides a bigger market for our locally produced goods, and he encourages entrepreneurs to get themselves prepared by undergoing skills training and apprenticeship programs.
High time we move away from the job of going to school to work in the bank and to work in the ministries and so on. This sector is a big one. And now that the African Free Trade Area is coming on board, I believe it gives us a huge opportunity now, not only to target the local market, but to target the rest of the African continent. And this is where I see the potential of this industry.
With the estimated steady rise in imports of cheaper, inferior clothes and second-hand clothes into the country from $115 million in 2002 to $250 million in 2019, the trend in the declining fortunes of Ghana's local textile and fashion industry is unlikely to change, reducing the local industry to an artisanal scale in a country that needs to make major interventions in getting the masses of its youth in gainful employment. A dozen of new cobalt and lithium mines within 4 years. This is what the Democratic Republic of the Congo is planning. The metals sought to power the electric vehicle revolution are in great international demand. Congolese authorities have authorized the acceleration of exploration in the southeast of the country. The region could hold a large reserve of lithium. But meanwhile, the African Union is very concerned about the deterioration of the relationship between Kigali and Kinshasa. Governments accuse each other of supporting rebel troops active in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The airline Rwandair, already in bad financial shape, was banned from flying in the DRC. And border trade is also very affected as the DRC has just entered the common trade area of the East Africa Community. We remain in the region in Kigali, exactly, where the issue of reducing greenhouse gas emissions is more than ever a national priority. But how do you actually manage to tackle this global issue? Kigali is trying out alternatives to solve two problems at once: pollution and traffic jams. The capital of Rwanda has since last year a new means of transport: self-service electric bikes. Take a look.
Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, is a city in continuous transformation. Its metamorphosis has generated a constant stream of new arrivals. The rapid growth of the population has today become a considerable challenge when it comes to traffic, with constant gridlocks in the city. Buses, motorbikes and taxis are the usual means of transport for most city dwellers. Cycling has not really caught on among the Kigalians. Now though, Gura Ride, a local startup, has been offering an alternative way of getting around.
Gura Ride is a project which consists in reducing the number of people waiting during a long time for buses, and which are quite expensive for some.
The Public Transport Initiative for Self-Service Electric Bicycles has received the green light from the Kigali city authorities. Created in 2017, Gura Ride's ambition is to make the bicycle a new and affordable means of transportation for everyone.
We chose Rwanda because the infrastructure of the country's cities is very favorable for bicycle transports. Plus, the townspeople walk around a lot, so it was a sign that they would like to do their shopping by bike rather than on foot.
City bicycles, a successful concept from the West, are now being imported to the land of 1,000 hills. Since its launch, 12 parking points, like this one, have been set up in crossroads in the capital. First-time users must first download the Gura Ride app to benefit from 2 months of free rides, and many already love the concept. I've heard of these bikes. I gave it a try today and liked it. Not only its agility, but also the fact that I can use it to run errands without a problem. It's a significant improvement. Each bike comes with an electronic lock that can only be opened if you have a valid subscription on the dedicated mobile app. After completing their journey, the user will park the bicycle at the station nearest their destination, ready for the next users to take their turn.
Our colleagues in Vest explain how to proceed, starting with downloading the app needed to enjoy 2 free months and how to create an account, where are the bike lanes and traffic areas.
Since Rwanda has plenty of mountains and hills and most of the population lives at mid-altitude, Gura Ride has tested several prototype bikes to decide which 2 models were best suited to the terrain.
We have 2 types of bikes, one with chain, the other electric. As you pedal, the battery recharges. This is in our agenda contribution to protect the environment from pollution. So Gura Ride bikes are eco-friendly.
The bikes are decorated in green, yellow and blue, the national colors of Rwanda. Some youngsters are already regular cyclists. Simbi Adelaide, a resident of the capital, recognizes the difference, however, between a normal bike and that of Gura Ride.
The difference is that the bicycle known to all requires a lot of force to pedal. But with the one from Gura Ride, I'm comfortable. Because of its elegance on my journey, everyone contemplates it.
Behind this startup is Umuhoza Pamela Ella, who heads a group of young people who manage the bicycles from a distance. They can track customer journeys in real time to prevent damage or theft. Gura Ride bikes are imported as separate pieces and are put together at the startup's assembly and repair shop. Donat is one of the technicians in charge of putting all the parts together, ready for a test ride. He and his colleague can assemble a bike in about 25 minutes and are also trained in maintenance. This is where we do assembly and maintenance. We've been trained and we're ready to intervene at any time. Since not everybody cycles in the same way, I think a flat tire was our worst nightmare. But our tires are puncture-proof. Given the quality of our bikes, regular maintenance is only needed every 3 weeks. Gura Ride is working with authorities from Kigali and other districts of Rwanda to place parking stations in several neighborhoods. The price will vary between 100 and 200 Rwandan francs per trip. Gura Ride has so far invested in the manufacture of over 100 bicycles. Today, 80 are in use in the capital, and more will soon circulate across the country as well.
You're watching Business Africa. Welcome back to the second part of our show. Has Africa succeeded its negotiations with Russia? Invited by Russian President Vladimir Putin, the current president of the African Union, Macky Sall, went to the Russian seaside resort of Sochi. The aim was to find solutions to the blockade on grain and fertilizer imports as a result of the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Egypt has been delivered a shipment of 55,000 tons of Indian wheat. The 2 countries had been in talks since March for a grain import deal. Kenya is planning to build a 25,000-ton liquefied natural gas storage depot in Mombasa. The aim is to speed up gas loading onto delivery trucks to reduce the number of tankers parked in the port. Thus, Kenya aims to reduce the costs paid by the final consumer by 30% and compete with the near monopoly of the Tanzanian port of Dar es Salaam. Nigeria has waived contracting an external loan of $950 million. This was announced by its Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed. The Treasury bond issue would have completed the total envelope of more than 6 billion Nigerian loans on the international capital markets in 2021. The decision reflects both the current market situation, which is less favorable to borrowers, and the strategy of the Nigerian government to reduce its exposure to rising interest rates. Access to water, sanitation or electricity, these are still daily priorities for many Africans, and there's still a lot to do. Over the years, many international partners have supported and funded a series of projects that are gradually changing the situation. We have the example with the European Investment Bank, one of those financial institutions working in West Africa to encourage infrastructure development. Take a look.
In the Diop household, water flows with a turn of the tap, much to the relief of Mrs. Diop and the entire family. The endless trips to fetch water are a thing of the past.
It really was hard work getting water. Most women had to wait until 2 o'clock in the morning. At that time, there's just a few drops of water.
Further east, in Senegal's hinterland, the situation was once no better than in Thiès. Now, thanks to PEPAM, the drinking water and sewerage program for the millennium, local inhabitants have improved access to drinking water.
We had to get water delivered. A barrel would cost around $1.50. Some households needed 3 to 4 barrels a day. That's at least $3.50 to pay for the water that you need each day. But now, thank God, it is easier.
1,000 miles away in Ouagadougou, the capital of landlocked Burkina Faso in Western Africa, it was the same problem. For years, the outlying neighborhoods were not connected to the drinking water network. For Sana Kabore, owner of a small brickwork supplying local building sites, the first problem he had to solve each day was, where do I get water? A problem that is now solved thanks to ONIA, the National Water and Sanitation Board. ONIA has provided water to 32,000 poorer households in the outskirts. Good news for the Kasalia service promoter.
Avant, on n'avait pas l'eau pour travailler. Et on cherchait de l'eau.
We didn't have the water we needed to work.
Les charrettes, on payait
We had to get it delivered from all over the place by taxi motorbikes at $1.30 the barrel.
Une fontaine de gauche à droite.
Now, ONEA has set up standpipes, and we have the water we need to work properly. I use at least 10 barrels of water a day. At home, I have a water tap, and my wife no longer has to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning to fetch water.
One of the objectives of the Millennium Development Goals was to halve the percentage of the world's population that had no access to drinking water. With the MDG deadline in sight, considerable progress has been made.
Le Sénégal a atteint largement, d'ailleurs, les objectifs du...
Senegal is well on target for the Millennium Development Goals, with access to 100% of households in Dakar and 91% in the hinterland.
11% dans les régions de l'intérieur.
Thanks to a low-interest loan from the European Investment Bank, it was possible to provide inhabitants with an extra 40,000 cubic meters of water. A larger water tower was built with sufficient storage capacity to supply areas that had water shortages.
Nous avons pu réaliser 721 kilomètres.
We installed a record 721 kilometers of piping for the drinking water supply network.
Ce qui a permis également,
we were then able to provide 48,000 subsidized connections, benefiting more than 500,000 people.
Plus de 500 000 personnes.
In Ouagadougou, the battle for drinking water is concentrated on Ziga, a project designed to provide the capital's inhabitants with the precious resource. The 3 million-strong metropolis is constantly growing, outrunning the country's ability to supply drinking water access. ONIA received 18 million euros from the EIB to finance its various investments.
The partnership has been very productive and has enabled us to improve and increase access to drinking water and to maintain the service with water treatment plant, water towers and distribution networks. It's an exemplary partnership and we would like to see it stepped up.
But despite the steady flow of investments, the battle for water is not yet won. With droughts come shortages. A vast water treatment plant is being built to provide improved drinking water access. In Ouagadougou, as in Dakar, many challenges lie ahead.
We have been investing in the region for the past 50 years, and we will continue to be a part of the European drive to meet the Sustainable Development Goals after 2015.
In total, the EIB has dispersed 18 billion euros to finance over 1,300 projects, with access to drinking water a main priority. Great steps have been taken, but the community of backers will need to pursue their efforts for several more years if the MDG goal of providing drinking water for all is to be attained. With the necessary innovative measures, the private sector could lend its weight.
It's now time to reward our loyal viewers of Business Africa. It's up to you to answer to the following questions. If you're drawn among those who have given the correct answers, you will win $150. This is game number 578. So listen carefully to the two questions that follow and good luck. First question. How many people were employed by the Ghanaian textile industry in the 70s? 10,000, 20,000 or 30,000? Second question. New Gura Ride users should subscribe to a list, download the Gura Ride app, purchase a new bike. You know the answers. You can participate now by going to our website, africaonair.com, in the replay section. Answer the questions, fill out your form, and good luck. And of course, don't forget to include your contact details, name, address, telephone, email, and the number of the game you are entering with the answers, of course. This game, for example, is game number 578. Check out the terms and conditions in the replay section. On our news website, africaonair.com, the winner will receive $150 as our winner this week. Congratulations, you gave the correct answers to our game number 577. Here are the details. First question. Since when is the pangolin trade prohibited in Gabon? The answer, in 2016. Second question. What does the Working Ladies Company use to deliver to its customers? The answer, tricycles. Well, that's it. Business Africa is over for today. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel for Initiative Africa. Denis Buhusu, Director General of the African Intellectual Property Organization, the AIPO, will be our guest. In the meantime, you can, of course, watch the show again on our news website, africaonair.com, as well as on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Take care of yourselves and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Jufo runs her multiple e-commerce businesses in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Her business is known as drop shipping, a business model where products are sold online without the need for a so-called brick-and-mortar facility where those products are stored and processed. It involves the management of e-commerce inventory and affiliate marketing, where she promotes online products for other businesses. Ajufo started her online business in 2022 with less than $50.
Okay, let's say I started with 50,000 naira. So today I can tell you the percentage has increased to over 150% of income coming in from the business.
Ajufo's success story has its roots in access to the internet, a good phone, social media, and spending around $6 a month on a data subscription.
When it comes to showcasing my business online, internet access has done most of it, 80% of it. Without the internet, we won't be able to do any of those things.
And for many, like Ajufo, the internet means more income and opportunity. A January 2024 World Bank report discloses that Sub-Saharan Africa recorded a 115% increase in internet users between 2016 and 2021. This, the bank said, also reduced extreme poverty by 7% in Nigeria, fostering economic growth and innovation.
Opportunities abound in terms of the benefit for e-commerce, benefit for e-health, benefit for e-government, and as well as in terms of basic commercial transactions.
Despite the gains, the World Bank says women in Sub-Saharan Africa have less access to the internet compared to men. The report also says women are 37% less likely to use mobile internet services than men, and that women in rural communities are affected most by the lack of digital access.
Once they cannot have one's means of, accessing the internet or data becomes much out of their reach, they become deprived. In fact, they become deprived educationally, they become deprived in terms of skills, and once all of these things, they become deprived in terms of having access to basic information about markets, about services, about even how to improve them. And once that is done, because then they become left behind.
Rural women in Sub-Saharan Africa earn about 77% less than men, while urban women earn 46% less, according to data from the U.S. National Library of Medicine.
Quite a number of women, particularly in rural Nigeria, cannot afford the cost of basic smartphone or feature phone.
The Nigerian Communications Commission says it has launched projects to close the country's gender digital gap. Among them are the Digital Skills for Women and Girls Initiative, Nigerian Girls Can Code, and Women in ICT. Experts say there is a need to double these efforts. They suggest the government ramps up grassroots access to internet-enabled devices at affordable rates to get more women on board. For Gibson and Mika in Abuja, Nigeria, Mary Alice Salinas, VOA News.
Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM and Africa Independent Television AIT. My name is Amicia Nakwe. Now, with the 2027 general election now in the campaign season, yes, it has reached a fever pitch. The ruling All Progressives Congress APC last weekend constituted its presidential campaign council to lead President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election bid. The party was actually and the only one to have named its presidential campaign council. President Tinubu will chair the council. His deputy, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and APC National Chairman Nentawe Wada will serve as vice chairman, while former Zamfara State Governor Senator Abdulaziz Yari will serve as director general. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma was named secretary. But beyond the elaborate structure, the composition of the council has sparked some controversy with questions over the inclusion of serving public officials in the partisan campaign roles, as well as the appointment of individuals who have faced allegations of financial impropriety, individuals who are being investigated by anti-corruption commissions. And there have been also complaints over exclusion of some APC stakeholders and political blocs. There are some names that were involved with the campaign organization for 2023 that are conspicuously missing. And so there are also reports that the president was forced to recall the list, saying there is every need for amendments to deal with these issues and expand the membership. Our guest today is Dr. Omar Tankoya Kasei. He's a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, and he'll be joining us to examine the council itself, the controversies trailing its composition, and what it means for the ruling party's chances in the 2027 presidential election. But before then, we will examine ongoing debate about fuel subsidy removal. Of course, fuel subsidy removal has been on the front burner with the different political parties and indeed especially presidential candidates taking varied positions. While Atiku Abubakar, who has sparked the debate, says he will reintroduce a subsidy in a different form, President Bola Tinubu described that position as demonstration of serious ignorance on economy and governance. Now, the NDC's presidential candidate Peter Obi has entered the fray with his own position. He says he stands with subsidy, no removal of fuel subsidy if elected. He has identified the problem, which he says is the way and manner proceeds, savings from subsidy are applied. And he says the way it's applied is not directly benefiting the people. And if given the opportunity, he will spend it on key areas that will impact on the people. So the debate goes on. Perhaps it will be the biggest issue that will shape the 2027 presidential campaign issues. And it's good. Some Nigerians are saying we are moving away from ethnicity, religion to core issues of governance, of welfare and well-being, with the citizen at the center. My colleagues are here with me. Uju Ejeye, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amici. Good morning to our viewers and listeners. You're welcome to the program.
And Shola Jaisimi, welcome also.
Thank you.
So let's kickstart with the position of Peter Obi at the Nigerian Bar Association conference in Port Harcourt. That was on Monday, where the issue took center stage when some presidential candidates were invited on a platform to offer perspectives.
Mismanagement of the proceeds should not be the reason for not removing it. What we should have done is that when we remove subsidy, we would have given the people alternative usage for the subsidy. What we have today is that that removal, attendant resources being recovered, is also being mismanaged and stolen. For example, we have received, according to them, 16 trillion. We will, I said it before, go to my manifesto and say I will remove subsidy. We'll do it in an organized manner, and whatever we recover will be invested appropriately. And I just give you an example because you have no time. Let's say you remove subsidy, and you decided number one thing a nation needs to develop is health. And today, our health is very poor. Our primary health care is very poor, where we are now have more maternal and child issues than countries like India. Assuming, let me use 5%. You said they received 15.8 trillion. So call it about 16 trillion. So 5% of that is just about 800 billion. And if you decide today, our biggest problem is issue of primary health care. If you decide to put primary health care in each ward, just each ward, in each ward, today it will cost you, from our own studies, an average of 100 million naira for one. We have 8,809 wards. Call it 10,000. And use 100 million naira for each. It will cost you 800 billion.
And so another position on fuel subsidy situation. Now, for Bola Tinubu, it's gone, fuel subsidy, and there's no return to it. To Atiku Abubakar, I will reintroduce it, but I'll make sure it goes to local refiners. To Peter Obi, I will retain it, but I will spend the savings judiciously. Would you?
Yes, it's good that we're having the different positions. At least that gives the electorate, something to choose from. And for me, it's not really whether subsidy is removed or not, because in the first instance, Nigerians really didn't benefit from subsidy removal because of the cabal that hijacked it. But if it is done in a reasonable way, in a way that puts Nigeria first, not Nigerians, then maybe Nigerians would have been able to benefit from it. But people have, those who are against subsidy is simply because subsidy was mismanaged, not because of any other thing. So if it's well managed, we'll benefit. And in this case, he says, okay, that's Peter Obi, that that he will remove subsidy, but he will do it in an organized manner and gradually. He's not going to do it all in one go like Tinubu did. And then that's also presupposes that he will introduce palliatives that the people can, that can cushion the effect on the people, and the people can at the long run not be subjected to this kind of hardship that we have been seeing in the last 2 years. So I welcome the different arguments. Let the electorate pick who the ones and whose argument they believe in.
And let the media also highlight the different perspectives to this debate. It's a healthy one. I was just looking at Mr. Peter Obi as he spoke to lawyers there in Port Harcourt. And, I said, well, healthcare, primary healthcare. And that's something that, unfortunately, the federal government has put its hands into. On a good day, if you look at the structure we run, that's something supposed to be at the state or, at the local government level.
Primary is local government.
Sorry?
Primary healthcare is supposed to be local government.
So if the local governments can't handle it, state governments have that right to do the needful. But because we have over-centralized our own federal system for a long time, you have him saying that. So if he thinks that he will put funding there, I want to tell Mr. Peter Obi that I hope he won't put his money in a sinkhole. Just at the weekend, there's a video trending. A member of a House of Assembly in a state close to Abuja here, Nasarawa, the man went, donated 50 ceiling fans to a general hospital, I think 50 mattresses, 50 this, 50 did, 50 that. He did that a few days ago. He went back there to say, what is that? They were now telling him story.
The materials disappeared.
They have disappeared. So if a member of the House of Assembly can put some constituency stuff in a general hospital, which is a second tier, and people can do this kind of evil things, officials there will, allegedly sell off everything. I pray Mr. Peter Obi will not carry money from subsidy and put in the sinkhole. The problem is that those who are at the other tiers of government are ripping this country off. So we seem to, everything we put it at the doorstep of the federal authorities. We continue to lampoon the federal authorities. That's why Tinubu's administration keeps saying that, please ask your governors questions. Ask your deputies, ask your speakers and members, ask them questions how these funds are being used. So different perspectives to this debate about fuel subsidy. Like Mr. Peter Esele told us yesterday, though he dodged my question on whether he had read the Atiku blueprint. because I needed to know his stand. If he looks at it and he tells Nigerians through our program that, oh, I see this one, I see that one, then we'll know where people stand. But that's his own position. So it's for all of us now, both the media, the citizenry, and the political elite, to push the agenda. Because, you know, as a young, small boy, very small boy, I remember the debates. I would pick a newspaper in the early 80s, young, small boy, sketch newspaper, Tribune, Daily Times, and all the other ones that were available then. And you see policy pronouncements of the various political parties. The UPN will say its own, MPP, Six Party, yes, that's MPP. MPN, the ruling party, and you see that, and the newspaper will push it. So we in the media to have a huge role to play. We will not do free publicity for them, but we're doing what we're doing on behalf of the Nigerian citizens, so that when they get to the place to do their thumb printing, they will believe that, yeah, this is what this person has said, and I will hold him or her accountable to what he has said as a candidate of a party at whatever level.
You made reference to what our guest yesterday, Peter Selle, former president of the TUC, said. And I'll start from where he stopped. He mentioned lack of structures, systems, and processes as problem. And he identified whether you're doing subsidy or you're removing subsidy, you're stuck with the same problem. And what does he mean by that? Now, if you're paying subsidy, we lack the structures and institutions to ensure that the payment we are making is getting to the right persons. Once we have the present structure of the Nigerian society, our governance framework is such that, like Uju mentioned, it will be stolen. And we saw how some persons were stealing subsidy. They claimed they imported petrol. Why they didn't do it? We lack the capacity, not just as a government, I'm saying as a society, to put those frameworks, systems, and processes in place to check and thwart that. Now, that's for payment of fuel subsidy. Now, when you remove the fuel subsidy and the benefits are there, 15 trillion we were told, shared by the different tiers of government, the federal government gets its own, states get, local government gets, and what happens? They are frittered away. Now, if you put money in the federal budget, 80% of them gone. If you put money in the state budget, you're putting the money directly into the pockets of the state governors. They go on jamboree, they spend lavishly on projects that will not impact on the people, and many of them are unaccounted for. So the absence of those institutional checks, those structures, those framework that will ensure that whatever decision you take works, they're absent. And so it becomes like a dilemma between the devil and the deep blue sea.
You see, they like investing in huge projects because that way you can embezzle more.
Yes.
If something is just maybe 100 million, what can you get out of it as a state governor? So that's why they keep investing in white elephant projects. But back to what Shola said about primary health care. And you said it's the duty of the local councils. And I said, how can the local councils adequately fund primary health care, which of course is the closest to the citizens in the rural areas? The lack of primary health care has increased maternal and child mortality. We have seen, yes, exactly, because there are no the primary health care clinics in my village is just a room without chairs, without table, without anything. You just see the signboard clinic and there's absolutely nothing to show for it. And I'm sure that in several other places. And I say, how can the local government be responsible when the state governors spend their money for them? So the state governors should take responsibility because they're not giving that tier of government what is totally due to it. And they should take care of the primary health care centers and ensure that Nigerians stop dying anyhow. I mean, there are deaths that cannot be prevented, but the preventable ones should, something should be done about them. So let the governors be responsible. Tinubu knows why he's crying. Ask your governors. What are the governors? I looked at the amount distributed to governors, some who got over 100 billion, and that's per quarter, right? The FAC allocation. And then, is it monthly? And then at the end of the day, you really don't see anything in place in their states.
And people are also asking, as you're telling us to ask the governors, we citizens are also asking you, the federal government, what are you doing with your own?
Okay, because of the need to monitor, because of the need to follow the money, as you're giving the governors, also put machinery in place to monitor them, to ensure that these funds are judiciously utilized. That is very, very good. I saw some very bad pictures of the East-West Road that are talking about bad roads, flooding. You see, some roads are impassable right now in Ondo State, particularly in the riverine states. It's a terrible thing. People cannot pass through the road. People are on the road for 8 hours, 7 hours, and we are spending money. The Minister of Works is telling us that the roads are getting better. I really need to see those roads that are being constructed. I need to see those roads that are getting better.
the coastal highway is getting better. That's a great.
Is that the one that the citizens need? You know,
yes, that's why he will tell you, the minister.
You know, because you're expending money on the Calabar Coastal Highway. Meanwhile, the East-West Road that connects all the South states is left unattended to.
That's what I'm saying. The president is telling us, as the governors, what they are doing there.
They're asking the minister.
They're asking the president, what are you doing with your biggest share from the federation account?
And the ministers that also get allocation. Yes. Why are the roads like this? Please, can the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, tell Nigerians why they cannot move from one point to the other? Some of us can say, okay, let's manage and buy tickets. What about those who don't have tickets? Why are
the minister has said the Benin Asaba road is a concession given to a private company, that perhaps they will look into it. That is not directly being handled by the Minister of Works. You can also say that perhaps they are being constructed in many parts of the country. And you must give it to him. Multiple roads are being constructed.
It is not a matter of
West Road.
It is not a matter of they will look into it. It's an emergency.
Okay.
People cannot move. They showed yesterday, if you see baskets and cartons of fishes, tomatoes and things, they are all rotting. The fishes are all, it's very painful. And these are riverine people. That's the only thing they survive on. Okay. So look at the ones that are very, very essential right now. When it comes to this kind of thing, you give priority to what the key areas. Yes.
Inshallah. Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance, who is the coordinating Minister of the Economy, was explaining to Nigerians last week in that, live a session, I think almost 2 hours or so, of how the government has been utilizing the funds that are, the federal government has been utilizing, the funds that has accrued to it and all of that. I watched part of it. I read some of the write-ups that came up after that. And I said, well, it's good to try to explain. Whether your explanation is satisfactory enough is left for the Nigerian people, who will say, oh, I like this. This is satisfactory. I'm happy about the explanations given on this. Or they'll say, no, this is vague. This is not clear. And we had the divergent viewpoints on Mr. Oyedele's live session with the Nigerian people. So we will take our peak as Nigerians. I have just one vote. Ju has one. I bet you have one, which we may not use.
We're not going to
use that. I will use my own. I will leave duty and go and vote on that day. So our leaders are.
That may amount to the religion of duty.
No. I will take an hour, 2 hours off and go and vote. Our leaders are trying their best, but that song tells us: is their best good enough? Whether that is satisfactory to those at whatever level is another issue entirely. Because, if we keep, we need to talk, and that's why.
I wonder which best you're talking about. Is it that they're limited in capacity, and so their best is certainly not good enough?
Yes, they are within their capacity.
Exactly.
So the best for a low capacity is a no best.
So whether their best is good enough is the question now. Someone can have the ability to get 8 things done. She does 3, And I said, no, but you can do better than this. I said, that's my best. Of course, 3/8 is already failure. So that's the match I'm trying to
Absolutely.
draw. So, our leaders are it's good to thank God for social media now. Before, probably if a TV medium does that kind of, exclusive story of the suffering of the people, they say it's anti-government. But now people are doing their thing themselves. They are doing their own content. I saw the man we carried his load and he took Okada and I said,
Bini Asagaro.
Yes.
I was calling out Minister Omahi. Asking him to resign. I has failed. The minister has insisted I'll be on that road today.
So back to my point, which is that if the media does that now, they'll say it's anti-government. And the media needs to get up and
if you do it constructively, they will not say it's anti-government.
We're in this country now.
Anyhow you say it, so the people in power will never say it.
So anyway, the problem we have identified, and I'm tying it back to the absence of structures, institution, framework, and processes that Esele talked about, our guest, Peter Esele, yesterday. It appears that if you go to a stream to fetch water with a basket, you're dissipating energy. As long as we have this defective structure in our polity, is all effort, no progress, all motion, no movement. Why is it that the best years of Nigeria were those of early 60s? We still make reference to them. Successive governments have failed. We thought Buhari was bad. We thought Jonathan was bad till Buhari came. And we started praising Jonathan. And we thought the city boy was better than Buhari. And he came and people were saying, if you return us to Buhari, that's what we want. And it's because of the structure we operate. Is that effective structure that does not allow local governments to function? Because how did we create the local government? Is it from the whims and caprices of the head of state and commander-in-chief during military administration? There were no objective criteria as to the feasibility, as to whether it will work, and whether the people are even own the process. It's the same thing with creation of state. Those that created it just went to sleep, or they were some of their friends lobbied them, and they issued decrees and they created state, and they think it will work. No, when the foundation is poor, no matter the effort you make, whether you remove subsidy or you pay subsidy, because the framework is absent, because the structure is defective, that's why we continue to get worse by the day.
And we have inept leaders who don't know jack. They just want to control power and money, but they don't know anything about leadership. They don't know anything about the needs and aspirations of the people.
Well, I'll just give the leadership the benefit of the doubt. Some people, IBB, many of us know the story of a man who read up to PhD level. This man regarded as the social critic. Baba, of course, Dr. Taisho Lari, educationist, who in the 80s, from when IBB got into office in 85, he kept on lashing IBB, lashing him, throwing this, throwing that. IBB now, we're told IBB called him to Dodan Barracks. I said, Doctor, why are you saying? I'm going to give you an agency to run. People's Bank. And the People's Bank, under how many years he ran under? He called me back and said, to run this People's Bank, you cannot. How much Nigeria? So at times when we are at the other side, we can, say this, say that, say this. We have a right to say them. But we can give the benefit of the doubt. If there are positives, we talk about them, we give the kudos. If there are things that are very, very wrong, we hit them hard. Back to the issue of, this first very quickly. Sani Abacha, he set up the PTF. He put Buhari there. We know what they did. Healthcare at a lovely level, both at the federal and the state level. Roads, super, in this same country, between 96 and 98. Jonathan came with his own Shopee. We know what happened.
And why are they doing that? They believe the institutional framework are defective.
Correct.
The public service, the civil service, the structure of government cannot guarantee delivery. If you pay subsidy, some people will steal it. If you remove subsidy and say, share this money to people through social investment, the same structure will steal it. So that it ties back to the issue of those defective structure. One last word from Uju.
All right. If you say Tai Sholari did not live up to his criticism nature because, he failed with People's Bank.
Yes.
I mean, must he be the one running People's Bank? Did he have the capacity to run it? Because Maria Shokenu came on board, and Maria did very good work. So if you look at it, that Babangida gave it to him does not mean that critics cannot be effective in other areas. It's just like it was not his forte, and so he couldn't carry it out.
He may have rejected their policy. Yeah, that's another option. Once you know it's a trap, it's a defective structure, don't go in because your good name may be tainted. You do your best, but the system will appropriate you. Even when we bring them from the diaspora, they were excellent in US, they were manning this institution in US, UK, Canada, we'll bring them. That defective system sucks them in. They don't have that strength to transform the system, and so it gets back to square one. We need to win, yes, but we saw how the system also frustrated her out.
But she achieved a lot.
Yeah, she tried her best. But the system, we must get back to it. Thank you for indeed staying with us now. But when we come back from this short break, we'll bring you more. Our guest is here with us, the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Controversial as it is, we'll be going into the details. To stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT, on air, online, online.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you so much for staying with us. The All Progressives Congress, APC, the ruling party, was the very first to release its over 100 membership list of Presidential Campaign Council. It was a campaign council of heavyweights. The president himself involved, his deputy, vice president involved, state governors, money bags, even those that are being investigated by the FCC, they all made the list. It became controversial. Now there are reports, though not confirmed, that the president has called back that list. There are some issues, some big men that were left out. Perhaps we are hearing that they are going to create room for them and all that. But you must give it to the APC, being the ruling party, they are setting the pace by first releasing their own list. The other parties are yet to do that. And joining us now to discuss the import of that council and what value it will bring into the campaigns and the elections, and of course the controversy trailing it, is a member of that council. Dr. Omar Tanko Yakasai, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so let's get straight to it. Like I said on this program yesterday, the APC has a right to constitute its presidential council. It has a right to add, subtract, and all that. Nobody has a right, to tell the APC what it needs to do. But the APC has seen now that we needed to have dotted some I's and crossed some T's. In your view, as a member of that party, does this bring the APC in the eyes of the electorate? And look, this party, it seems they have some things they are trying to cover.
All right. Let me start by thanking you for inviting me and use this opportunity on behalf of my father, Ale Tonko Yakase, and the family. Thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for including me in the Presidential Campaign Council as a Deputy Director, Welfare, Morale and Support. The family is happy, and it's a recognition of the effort of President, my dad, in the first election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and now, and then also the input of our leader, Honorable James Abiodun Faleki. And right now I'm here. The council has not been inaugurated, so I will not be speaking on behalf of the Presidential Campaign Council, but I'm also the Director General of Tinubu Support Group, so which gives me an opportunity to also speak as an APC chieftain. So let me say that, you know, our party as a ruling party must always be the first to start. And other parties, probably because of lack of competence, always wait for the APC to do something before they take the step. They copy from us.
Would that be fair?
And
to say that because of lack of competence?
So if
they are taking their time too.
If you look at it from the congresses of the party, to the primaries of the party, to the presidential primaries of the party, everything that has happened based on the INEC timeline, they always wait for APC.
But you see, there are also situations that the APC, through their own maneuverings, have kept those parties busy at the courts, that they are so busy fighting many battles they cannot fully concentrate.
Are they not candidates now, and they are not registered by and recognized by INEC as candidates of the party? So I think it is their own internal dispute, which they have been unable to resolve, and APC as a political party have a very sound internal dispute resolving mechanism, and we have been able to address a lot of our issues, but they don't have. If they do have, we will not be having two PDP structures in this country. We will not be having an ADC that is also divided. So it is our own, we don't, as the president said, it is not our responsibility to solve their problem. They should solve their problems.
It is your responsibility to go and scatter them. When you
have a dispute within your party, you should use internal dispute mechanism to solve it. It's not a responsibility of APC to come to any party and help you solve it. And we are not involved in it.
Can they use it to solve the one of the courts?
So I thought the essence of democracy is having three fundamental organs: the executive, the legislature, and the law. Mm-hmm. And so when you take advantage of the law, it's good, because instead of resulting to violence to solve your dispute, you go to the court and let the court decide. I think they are exercising their fundamental right.
Some have said that while the APC is a political party and not a moral estate, you know, they are free to appoint anybody they want, even if they are ex-convicts or whatever. In fact, one of our males said so. But would you not say that it is proper in a decent setup, in a decent society, that those who have heavy moral baggages should be kept out of, you know, national affairs until they are cleared? And the APC has appointed people who have real baggages with the EFCC and even in the eyes of the populace in your campaign council. And that raises a whole lot of moral questions.
So you see, I think I'm not a lawyer, but the Nigerian law states that you are not guilty until proven guilty. And if you go and pick an INEC form for you to aspire and become a candidate, the only criteria for you to be disqualified is a conviction. The fact that you may be in prison awaiting, you know, the end of your trial, and you will win, you will contest, and you will win. Senator Omishore was in the prison for a murder issue. Allegations. He contested in the prison, filled INEC form, did primaries, and won, and became sworn in as the... So I am saying that the APC does not necessarily condone such things, but you must treat individuals as innocent until they have been tried, found guilty, and judged. And so if ICBC is looking into you, it doesn't make you a
convict.
It doesn't make you a convict. So Nigerians need to remember that it's a country that is guided by law. The party must be guided by law. The president and everybody must be guided by law. If you treat your members as such when they have not been pronounced by the court, that will be not, you are not really doing justice, and that does not is not something that is legally good. So I believe that in other parties there are people who have been invited by EFCC. They are undergoing EFCC investigation, and they still remember the case of the former governor of Jigawa State, where he and his son were tried. Lamido, he went and contested for primaries in the PDP recently. They disqualified him. If he were used to use such yardstick to judge, he would not even have been an aspirant in that particular case. There are many cases like that. So I think that let the law dictate, how we live in this country, and then do not convict somebody before the court. I think even if the EFCC is looking at it, or ICP is looking at it, there has not been any arraignment. So you have to wait for the process to go through. If I am involved, if you are involved, the least you can ask for the country that you so much love as a patriotic citizen is that the law must be allowed to take its route and not to be judged by the people.
I understand the point.
So that is the point I'm trying to...
Yes, I understand quite well. In the eyes of the law, issue of presumption of innocence still stands clear enough. But beyond that, because my argument is that when we remove morality from our societal life, it strips it of its very essence. We can put the laws from beginning now to eternity, but the issue of morality, you may not enforce it, but it's a norm, kind of. Now, there are some specific cases that, indeed, if you put to the table, it leaves much more question than answers. For instance, Beth Edu, former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, was suspended by the president, and the president directed an interministerial committee to investigate. Years after, we have not seen any report turned in. The government has not told us the outcome of the investigation, whether she was found guilty or she was indeed
recommended for arraignment,
or whether she is innocent. But we see also the name coming. It throws up this issue, this confusion. What message is the government trying to send? I understand your position on the law, but I also want you to consider issue of morality. Yes, in school we're told if you want to win power, if you want to win power, go to politics. If you want to do this, go to law. You don't go to ethics and values. But we can't wish it away from our society.
So I remember when Atiku was the vice president of this country, he had running court cases during Obasanjo's tenure, 8 years. And none of those cases, court cases that the federal government instituted against him, disqualified him in any way from contesting under the platform of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then AC. He was the candidate
of AC.
Because he couldn't get a ticket on PDP. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu then, Asuwaju Bola Ahmed, gave him a platform to contest. And if it is issue of morality, I think that Atiku shouldn't have even attempted. He should have waited with the weight of the moral burden on his head to refuse to contest until all the court cases were cleared. But he contested, and later on, no, I'm saying that later on all the court cases cleared him. He won all the court cases. Yeah. Now, if you have determined his fate before the court have done so, you would have not been fair to Atiku at that particular time. But he was allowed to go through, he contested, he lost the election, and later on won all the cases in court. So I am saying that no matter how much you want to weigh in with the moral aspect of it, what happened when a verdict is passed by the populace and then you are cleared by the court? And even the better Edu issue, I don't want to go into it too much, but if you remember, it was a system that was running, and then she became minister and continued with the system. And when later it was found that the system was faulty, she ended up being a victim of a faulty system that she ran with. Because when they established the humanitarian ministry, that was the system of disposing funds within that humanitarian ministry.
Through the private accounts of
whatever it was.
you are working
So
with.
I'm saying that you must give credit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because when he came and realized that the system was faulty, and better I do run with the system and Nigerians complain, he did the right thing. That is the moral response by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He removed his serving minister who was running with an old system and said investigate and then make sure that the system is corrected if it's found to be faulty, and it is ongoing. We're not even going to court. So I believe that it's a process.
The investigation is still ongoing.
So what I'm saying is you must not be quick to convict people before the real process.
Yeah, just asking for the outcome of
the process is on. The process, legal. Do you know how long it took for the United Kingdom to clear any of our own issues? Since the end of the tenure of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Why did Nigerians say that the UK system is so slow?
No, how long it took the government to press charges against El-Rufai.
So what I'm saying
it takes forever.
What I'm saying is that, when you come on air and declare that you have bugged the phone of the national security advisor of your country, it becomes an emergency. And so therefore the urgency of that particular matter is different from the urgency of investigating financial crime. And when you want to investigate financial crime, you have to trail, and trailing is a diligence system that will make sure that when you go to court, you win the case. You don't want to go to court and be losing. And so you have to do due diligence. But El-Rufai came on air boldly, courageously, said he has bugged the national. If you bugged your own phone, the country should be able to be at alarm. And it should take a serious decision on that, because the privacy and the security of every Nigerian is paramount. And so if you do that to national security, do you know how many intelligence is filtered in the office of National Security Advisor? And so when you bug the phone of the National Security Advisor, it amounts to a serious criminal offense. And if you allow it to stay, how much information would everybody have given to everybody?
I just wanted to highlight it, and it's good you have offered explanation. Now, how do you think this council can deliver? If you take a look at it, Yari, is that the DG, right?
Yeah.
Is from the northwest, Zamfara. And that's the region with the biggest number of votes. You are from Kano also. Kano is part of the northwest, and we know what is happening in Kano, the Pampasia factor, and all that. So it suggests that the northwest will be a battleground. I want your comment on this, and I want your comment also, because when we are hearing out there, the president was sharing dividends of his electoral victory, all the revenue generating agencies went to the Lagos boys. But when it's time to canvass for the votes, the northerners are now made the DGs and all that. I also want your perspective on that.
All right, I think let us divide the issues. How you reward, how you appoint, and then how you campaign. Abdulaziz Yari is from Zamfara State. He was a former governor of Zamfara State. He ruled that state and later on became a senator, and therefore understood that when Buhari came as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of blessed memory in 2015, the issues were Boko Haram insurgency in northeastern Nigeria. And everybody who is a northerner was worried about the security measures being taken to address the northeast Boko Haram insurgency. And that was the basis upon which Buhari contested and won. And Buhari, as a former head of state, former general who fought civil war, who knows the military and knows the security architecture and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under his watchful eyes, a banditry that was just too small grew to be a big monster in northwestern Nigeria where it was not an issue. And in Katsina State, where he served as president of the country for 8 years, 10 local governments in Katsina State. I was there in 2018 for a research to do national HIV survey. And the security told us we cannot go to 10 local government because they cannot guarantee our safety. And if there is any person who will be a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and desire the best for his people, is at least Buhari and at least the state he comes from. But if Buhari is unable to rid entire Katsina state of insurgency, banditry, and what have you, he came, spent 8 years, and left 10 local governments are not accessible, and it spread to Zamfara.
From his own state.
From his own state, it spread to Zamfara and every other state, Kaduna, Gudmangari area, now to Niger. For goodness sake, why would anybody in northern Nigeria truly wants to heap the blame of the issue of insecurity on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just spending 2 or 3.5 years? And so I believe that the best person to explain to Northwest is somebody who comes from that region, who understand that Buhari in his 8 years had done everything humanly possible with working with the security agencies, and that had become impossible for him to declare 100% his territory safe, his state minimum. And so it means that there is something beyond what the security agencies are doing. And we know that insecurity in northwestern Nigeria is beyond Nigeria. The bordering states are porous. The fall of Libya had made firearms readily available, and Nigeria's land space is so vast. And though you can occupy a space and remain, the Nigerian security do not have the numbers to cover every inch of this country. International criminal organizations, international ISWAP, and ISIS contributed. So Nigeria is fighting not only a local battle, it's a national battle. And I think the best person to be able to explain that to the local, because Abdulaziz Yari is a local person, is Abdulaziz Yari, who's from Northwest. Now, when you talk about reward, when you win, the presidential system is such that, look at Trump, look at everybody. When they win, they have a core team who wants to address and deliver what is their primary objective. The president came, okay, he wants to deal with the economy, and he ensured that there is a team that is dealing with the economy. But he gave Northern Nigeria agriculture. He gave a Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and those are where Nigeria has the worst indices. We have the worst indices, and if you have leaders who are from Northern Nigeria heading those ministries, they are no better person to deal with the issues of poor indices than those people. But I think he has given opportunity. Governors and leaders should have supported them to succeed and changing this around.
Do we have time? We are just
So for what Dr. Tanko Yakasai has said, he has admitted much that the APC since 2015 has not done Nigeria well, irrespective of which administration.
Let him answer.
I think that is twisting the facts. I'm just saying that,
is it the issue of Buhari?
No, the issue of insecurity. It started right during Obasanjo's time. Nigeria has been bedoubled with insecurity even over Obasanjo's time. If you remember, Zaki Biam, if you remember, Bayelsa, there were issues of insecurity. If you remember the APC that came to Kwara, they said they want to sack the Gambaris. It was an issue of APC. It moved to Eraduate. And so it's every regime that comes addresses one form of insecurity or the other. In fact, Eraduate has to do amnesty program to deal with the issues of insecurity in the Niger Delta area. Every regime faces insecurity. Everybody tries to do his best.
We are truly out of time.
You can invite me next time.
The next time. I think you discharge yourself creditably and all that, but we'll have follow-up question we'll reserve for you next time. We'll have to indeed bring our listeners and viewers into the program now as we share your views.
Thank you very much.
Our first letter is from Steve Omar Ofozo from Lagos. And Steve says, in all sincerity, is the subsidy removal benefits not supposed to have translated to good roads, schools, healthcare, housing, as well as good life for Nigerians across the country? As I write, it's no news that Bini Agbonicha Road, Bini Sapele Wari Road, and Bini Aochi Okene Road have all become practically impassable. And I ask again, is South-South, South-East no longer part of Nigeria? Incidentally, Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road of over 15 trillion naira that only God knows the year it's going to be completed has become one of the major developments the present APC administration is fronting as success in about 4 years. I submit that with all sense of responsibility that Nigeria of today deserves nothing other than total and sincere restructuring for true federalism to be operational, or let the federating nationalities peacefully go their different ways. Just thinking aloud as a stitch in time saves 9. Take it or leave it. Thank you. And then Emmanuel Nkama from Alimosho, Lagos, also sent in a mail which says, please, I crave your indulgence to observe that former Vice President and ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar promises to return the subsidy on fuel if elected in 2027, and it is in order and commendable. This is because the removal of the fuel subsidy by President Tinubu in 2023 has not benefited the people, especially the ordinary Nigerians. Sadly enough, the removal of the fuel subsidy and its windfall has only benefited the state governors, who are now getting humongous allocations of billions of naira, which does not translate to economic welfare for the people in the various states. Here is calling on Nigerians to come out in their numbers and vote for the candidate of their choice, who they think will turn things around and ameliorate their economic hardship and poverty, which the removal of fuel subsidy and corruption brought about. God have mercy on Nigeria. The third one is from Adama James from Abuja. And he says, it should be noted that the All Progressives Congress is a political party, not an anti-corruption agency or a court of law. Political parties do all they can to win elections. If the APC likes, let it include ex-convicts, people with questionable characters in their presidential campaign council. What matters is what the electorate thinks of the party. If the Nigerian voters feel that, amongst other things, the membership of the council is an insult on the people's sensibility, and not in the interest of the country, they should protest with their ballot papers and send them out of power. Nigerian voters are the major stakeholders that can teach politicians lessons they will not forget in a hurry, and to do the right thing, just as witnessed in the just concluded Osun State governorship election.
Okay, we have 2 more. I'll just quickly run through them. Anosionwu Ugochukwu has written in from Lagos, and the mail reads, we run a constitutional, democratic, civil rule where the 3 tiers of government are vested with the duties to make laws, manage finance, ensure security and welfare of the citizens. But it beats me hollow how every problem in the community or village is heaped on the federal government. Governors are getting almost 3 times of their previous allocation, but the focus is not on them. Let us change our revenue line and constitution so that Nigeria can only be managed by one entity. Last month, states and the federal government shared 4.4 trillion naira. Go to the states and local government roads. It's a mess. Local government areas are getting 5 billion naira in a month. We canvass for LG autonomy, but is it working even with the Supreme Court ruling? Then this last one is from Mark Patrick Linus, who has written in from Abuja. There's a narrative in our polity that is becoming consistent lately. Unfortunately, the government and their supporters are daily rubbing it in our faces with so much impunity. The media is helping to amplify it for them without following the money and asking questions. I'm referring to the billions shared to state governors. There's no doubt billions are given to state governors with little or nothing to show for it, except using it for elephant projects that don't have direct impact on the people. However, the elephant in the room is reports allege that APC governors pulled up to 800 billion naira via monthly state deductions from the FAC account to fund Tinubu's 2027 re-election. The funds were allegedly channeled through political structures like the Renewed Hope Network. The media, as the fourth estate of the realm, has a responsibility of asking questions, investigating, and reporting back to the people whether these billions are used for what they're meant for, and report back to Nigerians.
Thank you so much for the mails. I don't think I agree with the last writer. The media has not really done much on that huge allegation coming from within the Governors Forum itself. Perhaps I will spare time to dig into it, but I have to thank you so much for joining us today. Ija Olani is telling Uju that it's not 7 to 8 hours that one spends on that Bini and Sabaro, that he spent 2 days there. It's not long that he came out. Perhaps the Minister of Works, Umahi, will get there today and begin to see how perhaps take that road construction away from the private firm that is handling the PPP and perhaps take it back to the ministry for complete rehabilitation. Thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of my colleagues. My name is Amici Anapue. Have a good time.
In southwestern Zimbabwe, crops in the mango area have withered away. Even local farmers will be among Zimbabweans who need aid until next year. That includes 42-year-old Singazi Sibandam, a mother of 3 children.